The whole board is tilted also. Is there a reason?
Well, it's otherwise everything drags on the ground. Yeah.
Maybe that's, can we?
Oh. Just undid it. Undid what I did.
I mean, you can take it out of there. It's just gonna drag. It's gonna drag underneath, but that's okay.
Well, no, that's not. We'll just tilt it toward the.
This is much better than one.
It's just tilted toward away from. We want to do this. What else? How about something flatter than the notebook, which has the spirals on the side?
I mean, it's too high.
You need something long. It's just not enough. I think we need bigger. We usually something like the size of a notebook, but they're flat.
Well, or you drag this thing on the bottom. You do this with it.
Like, this has to be. No, isn't there a book or a notebook or a computer or something?
These. Yeah, that paper should.
Is that enough?
Let's see if that works. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
Okay.
the first.
You are. And it has, and can the clock be anywhere?
The clock can be anywhere. We're not showing it right now.
You see it there? That's it?
Do you need to adjust anything?
No, the clock is.
Clock.
Clock is okay?
He's not gonna see it.
No problem.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, that's fine.
Are you guys getting echo from me? Is Jared here? Okay, yeah, I just thought I'd hear some deliberation. I don't hear anyone else.
Do you hear me, Josh?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't hear Joey, unfortunately. We are on air, folks. Sorry about the technical difficulties. We're here in Montreal, and things are going to be smooth in a second. Just bear with us.
I try to send these messages in this private chat and they like disappear.
I don't know if it's... I can't hear anything. Then.
Damn, this app is horrible. Come on, man.
What is he? 70.
I can't figure out how to close this. I can't see the board. Like I can only expand it.
Okay. It's up on YouTube, so you can look on the button.
Okay. Okay, folks, I'm here as Miss Keys comes down on the board. Beautiful bingo. We're going to be getting periodic updates on the score from Noah Slackoff. We're here remotely. We appreciate that. And we see another blank show up, but first we're going to be looking at Stefan's rack here. He's got 8 FGILOS, nice balanced rack. Not sure if it hits anything yet. As he continues to shuffle. It's beautiful here in Montreal. We've been having a great weekend. We've been traveling around, going for lots of brunches, social events. We played a 14-game main event in which Josh won, and now we are into the late bird. We have 6 people here in Division 1, including Josh and Stefan. They both won their first game. And we are about a third of the way here into Game 2. And in a moment, it looks like Joey Kraftic will be joining us. Joey, if you're there, what play would you be looking to make here? I don't quite hear him, but I'm definitely looking at something above the A in adapters, maybe Philo, F-I-L-O. It's going to double both ways. The F and the A, of course, and then the O and the P. It also looks to play to the right of Terrier, but instead he'll make the play as just a Philo. That looks like a great idea. Type of dough, of course. Looks like he's since pulled the play back. We'll see if he does ultimately commit to it. Joey continues to have some audio problems, so for now you're just stuck with me as Stefan now puts Philo down another time. I see Noah is posting scores into the YouTube chat window. Also want to say hi to Steve. Nice to see you, Steve. Steve's pointing out that that was a missed bingo. So foliages, I would imagine, looking at that E of Tyrier. So that's one that's definitely within Stefan's range, and we know he's going to be pretty upset when he looks back at that one. Josh, as I mentioned, does have that key blank, the first blank of the game, and he has an ILY pattern, very synergistic, but will he be able to find something that will go down? Our wonderful assistant here, Noah, has found solidity, which is a great find. We'll see if Josh is able to find it. I spoke how ILY is a nice ending. Well, ITY is another sort of ending you want to be looking for. If Josh does manage to look in that direction, I think he'll be pretty likely to find it. I mentioned how well he played in the early bird. It looks like he might be reaching for a blank slip, which would be a very clear indication he has spotted the bingo. And there it comes down, giving Josh a very comfortable 113-point lead. This is going to prove to be a very difficult board for Stefan to come back on, because you can see you're not going to be able to hook minks. The whole bottom of the board is going to be difficult to access. You could put an R or an L beneath foo, and you could play down from the FA of philo and adapters, but Stefan's thinking about beverages, I think. Maybe thinking about all the fun bar nights we've been having here. Unfortunately, he doesn't have quite the tiles to play through to make that play work, so he's going to have to keep thinking. If you're watching the stream, why not post a comment in the chat? Let us know how we're doing. If there's any plays you would recommend. Stefan does have a beat that would go nicely over the Y of solidity. You can also play a few more tiles about the SOL of solidity. Or perhaps you can look to open more space on the board playing to the right from his keys. Sorry about the audio difficulties, people. I'm going to try and speak as clearly as I can. We really threw this together last minute. We know how much you like live streaming, and we like sharing this with you. There will be 3 more rounds after this, and I'm very confident we'll get the audio problems a lot better, but I do think the video is looking pretty nice, especially because we just have been setting it up in the last 40 minutes or so. So Josh has that Z, and he's able to play it for a big score for Zybet. That'll multiply it by 2 for 20, 1, 4, 5, 6, 52 big points. And Josh extends his commanding lead. We can definitely see Stefan put an H under that E of Zybet, maybe play have or something to open the board. Again, space is going to be a problem as Stefan looks to make a comeback. He's now isolated half on his racks, so we think that is the direction he's going. Joey's asking about background noise. I am in the hotel lobby right now. I'm not at home. I played the main event, finished in third place, but I am sticking around for some commentary driving home tonight. Gotta go back to work tomorrow. I'm gonna try and get headphones out of my trunk before the next round. Hope to improve this audio for everyone. But for now, it's gonna be a bit rough, and I apologize. Stefan's drawn into Gunners. Will there be a place to play that? We would like to see that come down. Whereas Josh has a Jowan, a very cool word set up on his rack. But is there a spot? Noah, again, finding plays that I'm missing on this little screen on my phone, has found Sheev that didn't quite play. We're trying, folks, and we're going to continue to try and improve. There is background noise, and again, we do apologize. This looks like a smart play from Josh, getting that W to really do some work scoring-wise. Okay. We're going to try and move the production on with us, folks. Okay, I've moved to a new location. How do people think the audio is standing by now? Is it clear? Is there less lag? The background noise will remain, but I'm hoping that my audio is coming through clearer. Please let me know in the chat how it's going. You might be hearing some French in the background as we're in La Belle Province. Stefan throws down a beautiful play of low grade. But is that in the dictionary? I don't remember seeing it. It should be a low grade fever perhaps, but it could be two words. I think this might get challenged off the board. I see Steve also thinks it might be phony. It'll be so disappointing if it is. Josh is looking at a terrible rack. If this bingo were good, it would be a great way for Stefan to get back in the game, as he really needs. Oh, it's already been challenged, and it's not going to last. When you've been playing long enough, sometimes these words just look funny, and when it came down, it just didn't look familiar as a Scrabble word, even though we know what it definitely means. So Stefan's going to be a bit frustrated, having missed foliage, which was well within his range, and now trying a phony that didn't manage to stay. I see a great comment in the chat about how much Stefan brought people into the tournament with his book and how it still stands up. And if you want to hear more from Stefan, you should be going to the Word Cup this year, brought to you by the people of Let's Play Scrabble. It'll be in Albany, New York, and he'll be the keynote speaker. He'll also sign your book for free and talk to you. Apologize with the video and the audio. I'm doing one off the phone and one off the computer. As mentioned, this stream has been really cobbled together. We're trying to bring you some nice commentary. If it's not working, we're going to try and fix things between rounds. So hopefully the last 3 rounds go a bit smoother. Always love spending time with Stefan, not just a good player, but a great person, and his daughter Chloe, who's trying to get to 1900 for the first time. And shortly after that, we will see her reach 2000. So she won her first game. If she's able to win at least 3 more, if not all 4, she'll certainly reach that 1900 goal. So we're definitely pulling for her. Although I must say, she beat me for the 2nd place finish yesterday in the last game of the main event. So I do hold a bit of resentment for her utter talent. And thanks, Steve. We appreciate having you watching. Hope to see you at a tournament soon, such as the World Cup that I mentioned. I won't be at that one, but lots of people will. Josh and Kieran continue to bring us with great tournaments, and there are more to come. This one in Montreal had so many fun social events. Yesterday, the social coordinator, Christine Cardinal, led us on a walking tour of old Montreal down by the port. Thanks for the scoring update from Noah. Josh has a lead of just under 100. That's going to be very difficult for Stefan to come back on. But he does manage to get that bingo of gunners down. Josh, though, has drawn the other blank. At the very least, he'll have Groner. I'm sure he'll find something. If not that, something better. I see some of the players have finished their round 2 games. We're still about just over halfway into this one. Yeah. I see the wonderful Dave Cameron walking by. He has been studying hard since entering into semi-retirement, as he told me 2 days ago. And so watch out for him to make a big rating gain in tournaments to come. Josh is taking his time on this bingo. He's for sure seen Groners. What he'll want to look is for a bingo down from the tee, or maybe one that plays parallel to Panjet, just to get a few more points. Although as Stefan taps his tile, it makes me realize I might have whose turn it is wrong. Again, we apologize for some of these issues. So it was Stefan's turn. He plays Ahi. That brings him down just 70, but once Josh throws down this next bingo, this game's going to be blown open. And with both blanks gone, I count already all 4 S's on the board. I don't see any way Stefan will be able to come back and salvage this game. Again, it's going to come back to that foliage display. We wish he had found it, but he still has 3 more games to make up from this one and maybe get himself a really nice rating game, just like we've seen so much from his daughter. Okay, looks like Ahi was pulled back. Maybe he didn't play it. Noah is seeing things quicker than I am and suggests that Stefan didn't make the play we thought he was going to. Is he going to put a phony down? Or exchange, perhaps? I mean, Ahi is a good idea, but leaving the VG sort of combo would make it really difficult for him to get back in this one. But he does have some time left on his clock. We apologize that the clocks aren't in view. Again, this is a rush together stream. Please remember, if you want to watch other content, you can check it out on the Let's Play Scrabble page. Remember to subscribe, follow along, and you can also find the content on YouTube. They often stream on the official Twitch channel. You can check out everyone's favorite Axer typer, Josh Sokol, who's an active streamer, trying to make Scrabble more of a household game in the tournament sense. Okay, looks like a play is coming down. He has OH in his hands, and he's going to play it at the top left. So he keeps the A instead of the O. That sounds like a good decision. I'm happy to see Stefan think that one through. I'm looking out at a different screen. I hope this will help connect the audio-video lag issues we were having. If anyone can let me know if I'm calling more on the game once I talk about the next play. I see Stefan shuffling at the moment. He's looking at GAVOIDE as his 7 tiles. He's put voidage there. I hope that doesn't come down. But Josh did in fact find a better bingo than groaner, and that would be regrown. But with the W, not an A, different spelling, same pronunciation, different word. As the God of Pez wants Josh's name to be capitalized. He has won 4 out of his last 5 tournaments, so he certainly does deserve that honorific. I think my audio is now in line with my video. The microphone. Testing.
Yeah, kill the volume here. No, it's your phone.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta close the browser. Okay. You should be live here.
Okay.
You gotta get this.
Yeah. Okay, folks, we have switched over to a new audio and video setup as we make changes on the fly. Just like in hockey, we're in Montreal. You're jumping over the boards, trying to get into the play. If you're hearing me a lot clearer now, please send a message so we know it's working well. But our tireless producer and tournament director, Josh Greenway, is working on all this behind the scenes. So I'm very confident he will get it to a quality broadcast. And I'm seeing good comments in the chat, so love to see that. Stefan breaks up that rack that he thankfully didn't try voidage with goad. But it's going to be too much for him to get back into this one. I'm just looking for a plug so we don't lose power, but I'm glad to see that everyone's happy with the sound, and that really bodes well for our 3 upcoming games. We'll probably see more of Josh, definitely expecting to see Chloe. Also in this division, we have David Spargo, who I got to play many games with last night and won in the tournament. Also have my friend Agnes Kramer, and I believe there's one more player in the division. Oh, Annette Oberstadt, of course. Churro, everyone's favorite poker player turned Scrabble savant. Watch out for her. I call her Killer because she's always winning. Love to see so many strong female players, especially here in Division 1. Chloe, as I mentioned, managed to finish in second, and we expect her to keep rising. But right now it's Josh who can't be caught. He went 13-1 in a crazy strong field. He's won 4 to 5 tournaments, and he has a huge lead here. As Noah posted into the chat, a lead of 120 points. That's going to be insurmountable this late in the game. So, and Stefan has too many vowels. We see 5 of them. One of the 2 consonants he has is the V. That's not going to be much help. And Stefan continues to shuffle, looking in desperation. Maybe wants to play something like, I don't even know, visual. I don't know how many tiles are left in the back. I apologize for that. We're going to keep adding to this broadcast. It's going to keep getting better. Stick with us. Comment in the chat. Tell us plays that are being missed, plays that are being found, what you like about these players, what you like in the broadcast, what you want to see. Always open to suggestions here at letsplayscrabble.com. I've taken the time to thank Josh for all of his hard work. Kieran is also working remotely today. He was here this weekend, of course, but didn't stick around for the late bird. So we appreciate his help from afar. Lots of comments here on the capitalization of Josh. You can't play capital words in Scrabble, so maybe Noah just likes playing lowercase words, knowing that proper nouns are not accepted, and Josh would be an acceptable word in Scrabble, meaning to tease or to kid. This one is pretty much over, but we still have to get the plays down. The players will be fighting for spread points. If at the end of the tournament, 2 people have the same number of wins at the top of the division, the final result will come down to who has the better spread, meaning they scored more points than their opponents scored against them. So Stefan tends to be a bit of a slower, more methodical player. He'll take his time here. He has VELIA pushed over to the right in his rack. I'm not sure if that's a clue to what he might be thinking. But it is Josh's turn. Sorry, I'm losing track of the turns. He plays tip, hooking Yag to form Yagi. That looks smart. He hangs on to the C, which is an important tile for him, needing a consonant. Again, I apologize I had whose turn it was wrong. The clock would help. Perhaps Josh Greenway, our director, could give us some cues as to how much clock each player has, and I'll just tell you vocally. So Stefan continues to shuffle. He's got the AU lifted. It looks like he's going to want to play off 2 tiles, trying to leave a leave of alive, which would be much stronger. And then maybe he'll be able to get in a late bingo to cut into that important spread that we've been speaking about. He looks so tempted to play the AU. I think it will come down. Where will he play it? As I scan through this board, you could play Tau, but that's setting up a lane that he doesn't have the tiles necessarily to hit. He could play Sao, setting up his L. That would make sense. I'd like to see him do that if he's going to play off the AU. Now he's switching to AI. You'd really like to get rid of that U if possible. Again, I don't know the full tile pool, but generally you would rather keep the I, especially with the other 4 tiles he looks to keep, than the U. I think with the IA he'd be playing Via, which will score more than something like Sao, but Sao does set up his L, so we will see what he decides to do. One moment, folks. Please bear with me. Apologies, I am back. Looks like Stefan played an A to form Goa. He does have an L that would hook with that, but we see that Josh has a T that also hooks, so I'm sure Josh is going to take away that lane, play off at least one of his C's. I like Steve's suggestion of Uvia through the E and Gunners. It sort of opens up 2 lanes, although it partially obstructs Bingo's coming down, forming ups, but it does open a nice horizontal lane. This play of Goa looks just too easy to block. I don't see how it ever really works out. We can just see, looking at the racks, the difference in their styles at the board. Stefan continues to shuffle while Josh tends to just alphabetize his tiles and sit back, trying not to give away too many clues. It also tells you how Josh tends to be more booked up, as in he's studying from the alphagrams when the tiles are put in order. Josh will take his time here. Something very basic like cut or Q-tick, I believe is a word. Apologize if I have that one wrong. I'm calling this live with no help from the computer. I've just got word that we're going to have the great Joey Kravchuk join in Game 3. One of the first players in a very long time in the NWL dictionary to hit that very key rating milestone of 2100. So we're getting one of the very best. Qnit, that's a nice suggestion from Steve. Glad to see you still in the chat. Josh is just doing his due diligence. He's really trying to make the best play every turn, even when the game is out of reach. The worst thing he could do here would be to phony. Anything other than that should be totally fine for him. Stefan, unfortunately, by holding on to that U, just looks too far away from bingoing. Would have liked to see him shed that U one way or another last turn. So no, Q-tick is not a word like I had suggested. Qnit is a word. Instead, Josh is just going to be super defensive and play antic. You can see how now any play that Stefan could put down forming go to goat or something will not have room for a bingo. But he pulls it back, and I think I like that. Josh with... Oh, he's going to go longer here. He's going to play ancient. He's really just trying to take away multiple bingo lanes. He is conceding one down at the bottom, but he's also tracking tiles. So each tile that's being played, he crosses it off, so he has an idea of what tiles are unseen to him, meaning they're either on Stefan's rack or in the bag. And so he'll have a good idea if Stefan has potential bingos that could fit under there, or through the E of ancient. There was just the one in the bag that looks like the O. So I think what Josh had done is permutated that there was no possible bingo that could have been had, no matter which 7 of the 8 tiles Stefan had, the 7 on his rack, as well as the O that Josh drew from the bag. So that's what Josh was doing as we were waiting for him to make his play. And now with COU, he'll be looking to go out as quickly as he can, but first Stefan's going to try and rack up a few more points to help that always important spread. Josh has now went over the 500 mark, 514 to 368. We're seeing a really big game here on stream. Lots of bingos, gunners, adapters, terrier, solidity, ancient. Love to see it. Even a lot of big plays that weren't bingos. Fanjet, Zybet. And did I mention Miss Keys? Minx? Tons of points being scored both ways. Two very strong players. Looks like Stefan's going to throw down viral, looking goal. So he was setting up his L. That was his goal, and he'll get some points for it. And Josh finds, I believe, his only out of Unco. If they were a Y to be played, Uncoy, a fun hook, but that is not to be. This one is in the books, folks, and we will be moving shortly on to game 3. And we will be back shortly with game 3. Appreciate everyone watching. I'm going to take a moment to step away, plug this computer in, and we'll have our next pairing with you shortly. Thank you for watching here on letsplayscrabble.com. Okay, folks, I'm back. Sorry I missed the first play of the game. Chloe throws down heavy very smartly, keeping TY nice and balanced. Stefan, unfortunately, is looking at a lot of eyes. He's got 3 of them. We have a great matchup here for you in round 3. Chloe, Fatsis, the rising star, who's clearly becoming the top female player in all of North America, versus her beloved father, Stefan Fatsis, the author of Word Freak, who I mentioned will be doing a keynote address at this year's Word Cup in Albany, hosted by the lovely people of Let's Play Scrabble.com. We'd love to see you there. It's going to be a great event featuring top level play and a $10,000 first prize in both the NWL and Collins divisions. So very exciting to see that. Chloe has drawn much better than her father to start. You can see her rack at the top is looking much more balanced. Stefan's going to have to find a way to get rid of a couple eyes here. If you're in the chat, what play would you suggest? And Stefan can't find a play. I hadn't either, so it looks like the exchange has come down, which makes a lot of sense. I think he exchanged down to HAES, I would imagine. You like to keep 2 vowels to 2 consonants. You want to hang on to those really strong tiles like the H, which scores nicely and plays very easily, the S, pluralizing words, the E, never a bad time to have an E, especially if you only have 1 of them. You'd rather have 1 than 2. Chloe has 2, but still the tiles go together very nicely. LY, TY, we spoke earlier in the last game how well those tiles go together. ED, EM, lots of synergy on her rack, but will she be able to find a play to really take advantage of all that nice synergy? Stefan sees thienages if a T comes down, and Chloe does have a T on her rack. So we'll see what she elects to play here. Almost something like elatedly. That's not going to work. I think what she'd be looking at next, if she doesn't see a bingo, would be double doubles through that E. When you're looking at a board, you want to look where you can score the most. Well, you can't put a tile next to the V to go up or down because there's no 2-letter words with a V. So the big scoring spot on this board would be a double-double, as we call it. Here in Canada, we call that a coffee with cream and sugar, but it's also a play in Scrabble where you get across 2 double word scores, so your play is worth times 4. Chloe's going to continue to look. Her tiles aren't alphabetized the same way Josh's were, and she's not shuffling the same way her father is, but we know she's deep in thought. She's so focused on getting that 1900 rating, a rating that she's probably deserved, if that's an appropriate word, for some time, and she'll play mealy, very smart, putting her 2 scoring tiles, the M and the Y, on the 2 triple letter squares. Very well done. She's formed 2 5-letter words ending in Y. The letters on the board forming a plus sign, maybe to indicate that her rating is going higher. Stefan didn't get that T he was looking for, but he is going to keep looking. He's going to probably start by looking through that M, feeling the most promising. He already has an H, which makes it a bit more difficult to play there, and his tiles aren't looking promising through the Y. I see Mr. Sokol walking by. We've switched broadcasting locations, and he's going to come peek. Everything's working well, Josh. He's trying to interrupt our broadcast, but I'm such a professional, he wouldn't be able to do it. We're going to wish him luck as he walks back to the playing room. I believe he'll be starting his 3rd game shortly. For now, we are 2 turns into this one. The matchup of the Fatsises, or Fatsies, if you prefer. Chloe does have a 60-0 lead, which is a very strong lead, but Stefan's probably just 1 turn away from bingoing, so we'll see how he manages to play off a tile or 2, maybe 3.
Could go a bit longer. He might end up just playing off HE, for example, setting up his S-she as a front hook. You don't really want to keep that G, but sometimes you have to. When you have a rack this nice, what you don't really want to do is play too long. Long being playing off too many tiles. If you play off too many, then even though he's so close to a bingo now, he might draw some poor tiles and then have to spend another few turns to really clean up his rack to get back into bingo status. So we will see what Stefan elects to play. He wants to be mindful of his clock. I did tell him between rounds that he missed foliages, as he asked me if he had missed any bingos, so he might be a bit hesitant to miss another bingo here. I haven't checked with any computer program, but I don't think there's a bingo. I haven't seen one. I haven't seen anyone post in the chat. Please do if you do see one. But it's a balance between spending enough time to make sure you're not missing it and too much time, which might hurt you later in the game. Especially as the game gets later, you really need those minutes, because the last few turns in any Scrabble game tend to be the most difficult. You have more information and thus tend to need more time to get things accomplished. He has ghee set up on his rack, a clarified butter out of India. Will he play that? He will. Okay, so he played off a few more tiles than I perhaps recommended, but that doesn't mean that I was right and he was wrong. ANS is still a nice leave. Ghee will score more than the plays I had suggested. He does get rid of that G, which isn't a very good tile. Chloe was hoping for an R or for rebooted, which is perhaps an appropriate word with some of the stream difficulties we've had. But she won't find it because the stream has improved, and thus there's no reason for her to get to play it. The score is now 60-20. Chloe's going to try and keep that scoring pressure on. How will she do it? She's going to want to get rid of those O's. We don't necessarily like those O's. The B is not great. The duplicate E is not great. Oboe, perhaps. Hotbed. There are options, but which one will she go with? She could play boot, B-H-O-O-T, a word I erroneously challenged in a casual game last night, which I should be doing better, but that is okay. That is how we learn. You can't be afraid to make a fool of yourself. By making mistakes, we improve, especially if you remember you made the mistakes, you won't make it going forward. I mentioned boot, but the anagram booth would score a lot more, putting the B on the double letter score, opening up that top triple lane, which might be a bit scary, but it looks like she's going to do it. Yeah, I like that play. Chloe's so consistent. Putting down booth, that's going to score nicely. Hold EED, nice and balanced. But Stefan has some big tiles he's drawn into. That Z, we're in Canada, I will pronounce it that way. The X, that scores nicely. Two great tiles there. Duplicate A's hurt a bit, but nothing he can't work through. He's got the ZA set up to the side. Now he continues to shuffle. We will see which direction he goes. Despite these great tiles, an obvious play doesn't necessarily jump out to me. He's looking at cause, C-O-Z. I'm not sure if that's supposed to mean something like a cousin or because, but it does come up a lot in Scrabble. It would leave A and AXS, which is okay. It has nice tiles individually, but the balance perhaps isn't where it needs to be, but he might have to make a play that has some drawbacks. And he will, he's going to play Coxa, smart, setting up his set for huge points if that stays open. I love it. Andrew Friedman's in the chat. Hello, Andrew. Nice to see you. He suggested a very nice play, a Hebrew word of chazan, I believe it's pronounced. I was taught by the great Dennis Farbstein of the Toronto Club that azan can take a front H for hazan, and then a front C for Hazan. So love seeing that suggestion. Love seeing Andrew in the chat. I know he's pulling for his friend Agnes, who lost her first game to Josh by only, I believe, 4 points. So a heartbreaker there. Both players, I spoke to them after game one. They said how well that both of them had played. It was a great game. But sometimes you go against a player like Josh and you come out on the losing end. The the Z spot set up by Stefan, unfortunately, is stolen by a huge play of a bingo learned. If Chloe draws like that, there is no stopping her. But it does set up his Z for a big play, so he gets pretty much the same score back in return. So it's a bingo for a big Z play, and that is gonna put the score. I don't have the score in front of me, waiting for an update from Noah, but we're gonna jump over to Chloe's rack. She has SSVIQUL, so she does have the U with the Q, which is nice. She could play QI and probably with the S also with boots. That's gonna score a lot. Would love to see that. Again, if you're in the chat, would love to see comments, any suggestions. Andrew, Noah, we saw Steve making suggestions earlier. Hope you're having yourselves a nice Monday. The weather's really picked up here. It's been so cold in Canada and much of the spring, but the last week, all weekend here at the tournament, it's been gorgeous. And we have been taking full advantage. I mentioned the walking tour. There's been a lot of group dinners and brunches. And a lot of after-hours casual games, including last night we had a new player, Stefan S. He's playing in the bottom division, not to be confused with the great Stefan Fatsis. He's been playing, he said, online for 20 years. And I saw him play last night, and watch out for him. I know he struggled in round one against Brian Garnett, who is the top rating game player in all of NASPA, I believe, at the moment. So a really tough matchup for his first tournament game, but 4 more rounds for him to go now, 3. And I'm sure he's really giving his opponents a hard time. But let's focus more on this one. I see Chloe is drawn into slurves, which is a type of pitch in baseball. I'm not sure if she knows the definition, but I do believe she'd find the word. What she might not find is a spot. But Stefan here has 2 I's, 2 N's. We don't like duplicates in Scrabble. Try and think of each different tile as sort of a way to unlock different aspects of the board. I might have liked to see him play fini at the top right, a nice French word, would score more and not just give this huge F down lane where Chloe can really capitalize. But what I like about Stefan's play a lot is that leave, S-T-I-N. And now he drew a duplicate N and a P, so he's getting close. So what will Chloe do here? Tough decision. When you have the blank, but you don't have a place to play your bingo, you really have to think this through. You don't want to waste the blank, but you don't want to spend too many turns fishing towards getting that needed bingo. Apologies for the board. The players are trying to make sure it's even. Chloe's just going to play furls. No reason to keep that second S, although it does telegraph to her father that she has another one. She wouldn't waste it if she didn't. The board continues to be a touch of a problem, but I'm glad we have the audio fixed. Looks like we're not going to have Joey Krafchick join us in the chat, so you're stuck with yours truly. I hope I'm giving you a nice performance. And we know who's giving us a great performance, and as always, and that's the great Chloe Fatsis, leading 198 to 137. And a thank you again to Noah Slackoff for his very timely updates with the score. If we get low on clock, we'll get some manual updates from our producer Josh Greenway. Stefan has Panist, it looks like, on his rack, but again, just like Chloe, This board is not conducive to bingo, so uh, I shouldn't say that necessarily. There are definitely places to play bingos. It's not easy to play bingos ending in a word like S. There's that S from furls to start bingos. Chloe liked that idea, knowing that she was holding a blank and strong tiles, but she drew all consonants to go with it, so she's not bingoing next turn. Unfortunately, Stefan's going to be waiting a turn too, so we will see how this goes. It's just me talking by myself. No co-commentator today, but we don't need it. With action like this, the fun never stops. I'm a bit tired from all the late night fun last night, so I am drinking something that I've never seen before. I found it here in Montreal. It's called Coca-Cola with coffee. Have you ever seen that? Our friend Annette, or Churro, as well as the new player Stefan, both thought it sounded a bit disgusting, but I can attest that it is delicious. So when we get big enough to have sponsors on the stream, I sure hope that the wonderful people from Coca-Cola Coffee would be first in line to sponsor us. Hat pin. Oh, that's a nice idea, Steve. Yeah, if you can't get a bingo down here, why not start opening that right side of the board, play off a few tiles, keep very strongly with SN, and leave a spot for Ines to hook, which he's really going to need to do. I still think Stefan's a bit worried about missing bingos here. You can't play scared, but at the same time, you can't miss bingos, so you do have to really look. He could play paint above learned. I think I might also consider a play like that. It sets up a T, which does start a fair number of words to maybe form bingos down the rightmost column. So that would be definitely a play I could see him making. Looks like he's going to play pints. So S's start more words than T's, but you want to hang on to that S. So I think if he had seen paint, I'm pretty confident he would have played it. Although because S's do start more words than any other letter in the English language, this could come very helpful as he looks to make a bingo. So Chloe's going to have to find her way out of vowel trouble. This board is not so good for that because there aren't many, out of consonant trouble because there aren't many vowels to play through. There is the E of learned with the P above it, so she could play pervs, I suppose. If she doesn't play that, I imagine she'll be exchanging. And again, this board is being balanced on a bit of a makeshift setup, so that's why there's all the adjustments. Okay, she plays rye. That makes sense too. The problem though is if she draws consonants, she'll be in another turn away from bingoing. But if she draws even one vowel, she should be okay. So I like the idea. And before I even have the chance to look at Stefan's rack, he has hooked rye to a rye, thrown down padding, and he is back in this game. Especially as Chloe did draw two more consonants. So perhaps burning the S, playing pervs, might have been a better idea, although I can't say that with any certainty. That's one of those positions we'd love to throw into our computer program Quackle, which analyzes positions by running simulations to give us a high-level interpretation of what the best play might be. So all of a sudden, folks, we have ourselves a nice game here. Noah has the score as 231 to 169 for Chloe. I'm not positive if that's the most recent score. I don't think so because of Stefan's last bingo, so I believe the game's actually a lot closer. As Stefan notes that he puts iolate on his rack, seeing that he's getting pretty close to things like étoile, a French word for star. Love to see the French words come down here in a bilingual city of Montreal. Most of Quebec, the province where this is held, speaks French. It's definitely the first language here, but in Montreal, there are pockets where people speak English as a first language, and most people tend to be bilingual. So it's a great city to visit, even if you don't speak any French. Je parle un peu de français, meaning I speak a bit of French, so I can communicate a touch, but I have a harder time understanding people speak French just because people, when they're speaking in their native tongue, speak so fast. Oh, Chloe did have a vowel, excuse me. I'm looking on a bit of a small screen. So she didn't find a bingo, but she found a nice scoring play of verb. She is holding a W. You don't want that when you're trying to bingo, but it's not the end of the world. So her rack's looking more promising than her father's, especially as she has drawn an A. She really needed a vowel there, and she did get one. So what is Stefan gonna do here? Again, in the chat, would love to hear your ideas. I'm thinking maybe OI above the Y in melee to set up that L. We know he tried to set up his L last game. Will he do it again here? It would be keeping one more vowel than he'd want. He'd also like to get rid of an E. We don't like those duplicates in Scrabble. We don't really like the O. He'd want to leave like tile. That would be nice. But I think he might play longer here, perhaps going for an unseen blank. So he's got a 12 set up. It would play parallel to padding to the right, but look where it would hang the E right into the triple lane. And with Chloe sitting on a blank, that could be very dangerous. We have an update on the score. It is now 258 to 253 for Chloe. So as I mentioned, this game is neck and neck. Chloe does have that blank on her rack, but if Stefan's able to play off a few tiles and get into bingo range, this could be anyone's game. I know how proud Stefan is of his daughter because of all of her success, but I also know how much Stefan likes to win, as we all do. So they're both playing their hearts out. I know that Stefan's wife and Chloe's mother will be proud regardless, but only one can come out on top unless we see one of those very rare ties that almost never happen in Scrabble, but once or twice a tournament you typically see two players tie. I know Stefan originally in round one of this tournament thought he tied Annette Oberstad, one of the players here in Division 1, but instead, after a recount, Stefan ended up winning that game. So that's a bit of a heartbreaker for Annette. So Stefan ends up playing Oil. Perhaps he's trying to take out some lanes, thinking that Chloe's getting closer to a bingo. I was thinking about opening up the setup himself, playing a bit more offensively. It looks like instead, he's elected to play a bit more defensively. And that's typically a nice decision, but he does this without the S, and Chloe has an S and a blank, so oil can turn into oils, and then SN can start words, perhaps a weird word like snaw, SNAW. Stefan's drawn into a natural 7 of betaine, BETAINE, not a word I expect people outside of top levels or tournament levels perhaps to know, but if a position opens up on the board for it, will Stefan be able to find it? But of course, it is Chloe's turn. She is first looking for a bingo, well before she'll be looking just to play something that hooks oil. That's not that many points necessarily. I don't think she's seen a bingo. I haven't seen a bingo. Have you seen a bingo in the chat? Ring toss was blocked. Okay. Thank you to my friend Andrew. I know Andrew's a big hockey fan. I'm sure he saw that the Leafs got crushed last night. I know he likes to keep an eye on his former New York Islander player, John Tavares, who did score the winning goal for the Leafs to clinch their round one victory, the biggest goal for the Leafs in about 19 years. Probably longer. That was the first win of a round in 19 years. But unfortunately, the Stars have not come out to play here in round two for the Leafs, down 3-0 against Florida, and it's looking a bit dire for their hopes. But Stefan's hopes are well alive, but he's going to have to get a bingo down soon because Chloe's getting closer and closer. Ragwarts. Oh, nice, Jason. Sorry to miss you for tennis last night, but glad to see you on the stream. Yeah, that would have been a big bingo. Don't see Chloe missing too many these days, but her word knowledge can always continue to sharpen. She's getting better and better on Aerolith Quizzes, a program that some people use to study their words, developed by the great Cesar del Solar. He didn't have the results he wanted in this tournament, but we haven't heard the last of Cesar. So Stefan plays off BA here. He left EEINT, again, probably one more vowel than he'd want to keep, but not the end of the world here. Glad to see Andrew happy about Tavares. Yeah. You know what? He was signed maybe to be a superstar, and he's played more like a fringe all-star. Hasn't always shown up in the playoffs, but you love to see a guy get a huge goal like that. He's been the captain. He plays hard. He's just not that fast, not that good in even strength. But I know Jason Lee's also a big fan of hockey. He was maybe teasing a bit at the Leafs, as he should. We know Montreal has had a lot more success in our lifetimes. But I did get to see the Raptors win the championship, as Chloe looks to set up the word Negroids coming from the N in padding. So that bingo would put her ahead. Stefan drew into a J and another vowel. That's the risk of keeping 3 vowels to 2 consonants. What you really want to be doing is the opposite, keeping 3 consonants to 2 vowels. You want to keep approximately a ratio of about 4 consonants to 3 vowels. That's sort of how words are formed in the English language, how the tiles are sort of aligned in the bag. Chloe's thinking if there are other bingos she should be playing. Instead, here it comes. And that's going to score nicely and put her ahead by the score of a bingo. So Stefan's going to have some work cut out for him to get back into this one. We'll probably see him play off the J's somewhere. When you're looking at bingo and falling behind a bingo, that will be his goal. You want to get that J off your rack quicker. And so he's playing in the top right. No, sorry, just reaching up there. I have a smaller window blocking the top right of the board, so I was a bit mistaken there. Jason, Andrew, if you're still in the chat, what would you do here on Stefan's position? I don't have a co-commentator, would love to hear other people's thoughts. And thank you from my producer. I can resize things here. I'm going to work with that. Again, we'll continue to make improvements throughout the day. I think round 3 is already going much better than round 2. I bet Stefan's starting to get a bit low on clock. So he's going to just play jug. Yeah, that's what I thought I was going to see him play. If he didn't see a play through the R, which I wasn't seeing, and a play being one that used the J. Going to leave bingo tiles, E-E-I-N-T. Again, more vowels than consonants, but if he does draw 2 consonants, he'll be in a nice shape here. And the blank, that's even better than a consonant. So don't go anywhere, folks. We are in for a dogfight here. Chloe's drawn 3 O's. She's not going to be happy to see that. Might play something like moo, takes out the O of Negroids. The debate would be if you play it M-O-O above the, starting with the M above the I or above the O. My first thought would be to play it above the I. So that way if a bingo comes down, it's not going to hit the double word score. Oh, it still won't. I just can't count. Excuse me. So Chloe makes the right decision, because this obviously makes bingos harder to hit, and it still won't hit that double word score if they come down. So it blocks something like teeniest, for example. Chloe still hasn't drawn enough consonants to be in a good position for this turn. So what will Stefan elect to do? Will he find a bingo? Is one available? Moo, of course, can be hooked into moot, into moon. Those would be the two consonants on his rack. But is there a way to use all 7 tiles and get that very key 50-point bonus? This is why you want to keep a lot of time, because when a rack like this comes up, you really want as much time as possible to find the bingo. You can't miss a bingo if one is available here. So, oh, of course, the top right, where I still haven't resized my window. Yeah, great idea by Stefan here. So he's going to play Selenite. So I was thinking about bingos to the S, but of course bingos from the S in the top right are way more powerful because it will triple. But there is the risk because the I is played next to that scoring spot, but we can see Chloe only has 1-point tiles on her rack, so she won't be able to make him pay for that opening. Plus the Q and the X are both gone. Those would be the 2 tiles you'd be really afraid of after making a play like Selenite. So really well done by Stefan. Jason had seen it. We'll see what Stefan draws here. This draw will be really key, and Chloe's going to look to get rid of a few of her vowels. She could play Roue. Am I pronouncing that right? I think it's a French word, R-O-U-E, to throw off 3 vowels. It would, however, open the board for potential bingos. If she thinks her father has a better rack than her, perhaps her strategy is instead to look to play a bit more blocky. And by blocky, I mean trying to take out some of those scoring spots. She could play Uri, O-U-R-I-E, and play it parallel to starting from the I of Selenite. That would open up some things because the E would hang down low enough that Stefan would have access to the triple word score in the bottom right. And he's drawn some tiles that work together nicely. That CK combination, I think nobody's surprised they work together well. Chloe's going to have to really think about this one. She needs to score because the game is close. But she doesn't want to open at the same time. This is when it's really important to know what tiles are left in the bag. Apologize if there's background noises. I am calling this game from the hotel lobby. We've had so much fun here in Montreal. For everyone who made it, it was great to see you. For everyone who didn't, we hope to see you next year. I think we'll be in a different location next year, but in the same city, the wonderful city of Montreal. There's so much to love here. I always describe Montreal as probably the most lively city in Canada. Great nightlife, really fun people, beautiful city. They got the mountain downtown. You can go hiking right in the downtown of the city, overlooking everything. That area there by McGill and all the cool downtown bars and streets, so much fun. And yesterday we did something a bit different, going to the old city, right on the water, the port area, walked through Chinatown. I've been to Montreal probably a dozen times now, and each time I enjoy my trips. So I hope if you haven't been, you'll take a opportunity to come join us or come for other reasons. You can't go wrong visiting a great city like Montreal. Oh, thank you so much for Jason telling us the tiles that are unseen. So from Chloe's perspective, the tiles are AACEFIKNTU. So what she's looking at is that she has all 1-point tiles, but she knows that her father very well could have the tiles that score a lot, and he happens to have all 3. So he has all 3 of the tiles worth more than 1 point left on his rack, and that could become very important here in the end game. She's knowing she doesn't have those tiles. She has to do everything she can to not let her father get those spots. But look where the K can possibly play. Above the OI in Mu and Negroids, she could form Koi. If she's he could form Koi, excuse me. And if he's able to go in either direction, that K could be worth times 6. So we will keep an eye on that. I'm not seeing a way that he can necessarily do it, but doesn't mean it's not there. If our producer has a moment to give us an update on the time situation, that might be helpful. Because every second's going to come important. This game is so tense, and it's more tense when you're playing against a family member. It's more tense when you're playing on stream. It's more tense when, like Chloe, you're trying to hit that new rating peak of 1900. So there's just so much on the line here, and there's also prize money. There's always prize money at these events. Even if at a late bird it's not as much as the main event. Josh won $500 in the main event, which is great to see. Even for finishing in third place, I got a nice prize of $250, and I believe Chloe in second place won about $350. And it paid out fourth place, which was Wes Eddings with a great performance. Loved hanging out with Wes, and he did so well, knows his words so strongly, and other players really did well in Division 1. Want to give a shout out to the always wonderful Bernard Gottlieb. I did get a phony by him. I apologize, Bernard, for my play of Oceanry. But he won more than half his games. He gained about 60 or 70 rating points. He gave a couple great speeches as the MC of this event. He used to host this event. He's since handed over the reins to the Let's Play Scrabble team, but he still was very active, giving speeches. He made a nice joke about the Montreal Canadiens, so it's not just the Leafs we're going to laugh at. The joke was basically like this kid, he didn't want to live with his mother because she beat him. He didn't want to live with his father because he beat him. So he wanted to live with the Montreal Canadiens because they don't beat anyone. So a very classic joke. I've heard that in different forms before, but when it's coming from an affable personality like Bernard, it just really hits the spot. I've never heard a single bad word said about Bernard, and to see him have such a big result in his home city in the tournament he's been running for decades is just so great to see. Also, Annette Oberstad had a great result after a bit of a slow start in the main event. Really bounced back and finished right near the top. Sorry again for the background noise, folks. I hope you can hear me well. This is a really tough turn. Chloe's still looking at Uri. I'm just looking at the unseen tiles that Jason so kindly provided. So they'd be A and U. So if she plays Uri, which she might, she would be drawing A and U to TO. So there is a 5-letter word there, tauon. It's like a type of particle, I believe. Like a physics sort of word. Would there be a spot for it? I'm not sure. It would fit with moon. Will Stefan see that and know to block it? That might be the biggest question here, but what I really need is a score update. So, young Mr. Slackoff, if you are there, please make sure we have the current score, because this is when we really need it. So Jason did have the tiles tracked correctly. Thank you for that. You can see Chloe only has the 5 on her rack. Stefan's going to look at that E and see if he has any sort of 6-letter word that can go down to the bottom right. But he's also going to be after looking for outs. And Chloe could play Tauon to the right of Uri as well as forming Moon. So the only way to block both might be to play through that E. That's going to be a difficult thing to spot. I don't know if Stefan necessarily sees Tauon. If he knows Tauon, I think he would. But again, okay, so Chloe's leading by 8. So if he scores enough, he might be able to let her go out. But that's only if he can find a way to score enough. I'm not sure I see a way he can do it. Is there a way to score big on the bottom right? Does anyone see a big play that can make it down to the triple? Let me see if on my phone I can maybe try and figure this out, because I'm not seeing it, and I would normally have found a 6-letter word there by now. I don't think one exists. No, not looking promising. So, 6-point game. If he can stop her from going out and go out in 2, maybe that could be enough. Can he play like sight and cod? What would that keep? F-A-K-E, fake. Would there be a spot for fake after playing sight? Thank you in the chat from Josh, thanking me for my participation. I do have to work tomorrow, but I did want to stick around and give a bit more commentary. I'll be on the highway a bit later, so enjoying this while I can. It was nice to see everyone again this morning after I thought I was saying bye to people last night, or I guess technically very early this morning, because it was after midnight. So Stefan would be looking, can he just parallel to the left of Uri? Sorry, my screen's got a bit blurry, but thankfully I have a second screen here to my left I'm able to look at. This is one of those positions that really takes everything out of you. What he wants to accomplish here is to block both of her outs, score enough, and leave 2 spots. Okay, so Dan Blake is just in back. Yeah, that's a nice word. So now I'd have to do the math. 4, 5, 8, 13, 26, 31, 32, 33. So 33 points. He'd be leaving 6 points on his rack, which is 27. So he'd be going up 27, but he's down 8, so that's 19. I don't think Talon scores 19 in either spot, so that to me looks like a win. So great job, Dan. Thank you to everyone contributing in the chat. Jason with the tile update, Noah with the score update, our producer Josh doing pretty much everything, including handling all the director calls. And I'm trying to keep you apprised on the action and work through some of our technical difficulties. And he finds fact. Yes. Love to see it. I think this might be a winning play here for Stefan. I know we're all cheering for Chloe to get to 1900, but what we love to see are quality plays. We want to see the right plays come on. So Chloe sees Talons, but isn't enough to win. If the math posted by Noah is right, I don't think this scores 17. 6, 7, 8, 9. I think it scores 12. I think if I'm right on my math, that Stefan will have pulled this one out by 5. Did he manage to slay the queen, we will call her, Chloe Francis? But
We love you, Jared.
we are going to see, and look who's here. We have Josh Sokol. How did you do in your last game, Josh?
I lucked.
Are you undefeated?
Yeah.
Josh is undefeated. Will he win the late bird after having won 4 of his last 5 tournaments? Watch out for Josh. So they might be doing a recount. They might be just post-morteming here. I would love it if we could get an official final score, either from our producer or from the young Mr. Slackoff. Josh, do you have updates on the standings for us? Anyone else undefeated in Division 1? And what about CSW? How's that? So Matthew O'Connor, the top seed, is undefeated, and winning in the lower division is Brian Garnett. So love to see it. 3 personal friends of mine leading each of their divisions. 3 players I've spent a lot of time with this weekend, going out for meals, playing after-hours games. They've all worked so hard on their game. Brian's been studying every day. He has an online handle of Chess Bunzo because he's a chess player first, but really, he's turned into more of a Scrabble player. So this one appears to be over. I think that the 6-point win for Stefan, that's what the players have. So it's so sad to see Chloe lose this one, but I think if she wins 4 of 5, it should be enough. to get to that key 1900? I'm not sure. We're gonna have to keep an eye on that. I'm gonna ask Josh this question: if Chloe wins 4 of 5, do we think she'll hit 1900?
Yeah.
Yeah, we think so. So even though Chloe lost to her father, very proud of Stefan bouncing back after a difficult game against Josh when he missed that key play of foliages.
But she's not going to win 4. She's going to win
But Josh,
3.
Josh,
She's won
so
2.
Josh has always been so self-deprecating, but all of a sudden she's 1-2. Excuse me, I didn't know she lost her second game. So unfortunately, Chloe's gonna have to wait for a bigger event to get to 1900. But perhaps that's for better because we want to see. Everyone likes to see someone hit a milestone at a nice big event. Like you can win more money. You know, I snuck into 2000 at an early bird event. Barely counts.
Snuck. Yeah, come on. Dude.
Snuck. Josh doesn't like the word snuck. He came over and signed my score sheet, and he was the first to congratulate me as a very kind John Stardom sat across the table, also very congratulatory. So it was a nice feeling. I was mentioning how Joey Kravchuk, who wasn't able to come stream, recently hit 2100. I was so glad to hit 2000. We're seeing Chloe try and hit 1900. Gains all around as the players continue to post-mortem here. I think we might step away for a few moments as we decide our round 4 matchup. And we've decided our round 4 matchup as I don't break stride. I love having Josh standing here. Oh, here's Stefan. Stefan, you want to come on stream and talk about this big victory? Well, Chloe, I'm not surprised she's grumpy. We wanted to see her at 1900.
I did too. Sorry, Chloe.
Hi, guys. Look, we got the wiffle ball champ himself, Stefan Patsis. Congrats, Stefan.
Thanks.
And what about that game? How did you feel? So we have the board here on the second screen.
I mean, my pints, I just forgot that Pinto was good. I set it up on my rack.
Okay,
and I just was not 100% sure.
Yeah, a bean, of course. The pinto bean.
Yeah, no, Pinta.
Oh, Pinta. Yeah.
Pinta,
Okay.
Pinta.
Yeah,
I didn't have an O. I had the A.
Okay. I was having trouble seeing the top right of the screen, so I hadn't seen that. So I was like, does he have a bingo here on selenite, forgetting that the S was up there? So the stream has been a bit not quite to our normal quality,
That's
but
okay.
How does it feel beating your daughter here on stream?
It's a little, it's a little mixed feeling. I have to say, I want her to beat 2000 as quickly as possible.
And she'll be there.
But there's plenty of time. And
there is, yeah.
This is not determinative in any way, and she's a much better player than I am.
Right. And you know what? She just won $350, I believe.
And finished second with a 10-4 record, while I went 6-8.
Exactly, crushing it. So it's good to see everyone get some wins here.
And I felt like I did okay. I mean,
I thought you were playing great.
Okay.
We've seen some great comments for you in the chat. Everyone's loving the action.
Awesome. I mean, Chloe felt like she could have maybe disgorged was better than Negroids. I mean,
possible. I think what it came down to, you were both neck and neck. She had that blank. She missed one bingo. I don't know if she's seen that she missed the bingo yet. I'd have to scroll up in here. I already forget what it was. And then it gave you a chance to get back into it. We saw your tiles getting closer. And then at the end...
I mean, I just pulled all those tiles.
Exactly. There was 3 tiles in the bag that scored, the FC and the K.
And I pulled them all.
And you found the very key play effect before I found it. Dan Blake had found it in the chat. Let me see what the miss was
I was
here.
Debating. I actually had mistracked. I was off by 1.
Okay.
I only had her. I was missing a tile, and I didn't have time to go back and look. And she had that O for. She had. I thought I had her for AUNT and something else, and I didn't know what it was. But it looked like whatever it was, there was little chance. So I was debating between just.
It didn't matter because Feck scored so much. Yeah.
Okay, I have for Feck, and either scored plenty. I think to win.
Yeah, those tiles came in big. I see Stefan's being called for his next opponent, so we'll let him step out of this booth.
Awesome.
But good luck to you.
Thanks so much.
And enjoy chatting as always. Stefan will be taking on the very talented David Spargo. And in our game, as I see we are ready, we're going to cut there now. It's between two of our favorite players we love to watch, the always great Josh Sokol and Chloe Fatsis. So Chloe, as Stefan mentioned, is a bit upset. She feels like she could have played better. I swear there was a bingo she missed. I don't see it in the chat log, but it doesn't matter at this point. It's in the books. She always analyzes her games. She will for sure be posting them on Cross Table, so you can look through, see her thoughts, see what perhaps she missed what she found, what she was thinking about. My stream hasn't been exactly to my quality. I've been making a few mistakes. I've been bouncing between some blurry feeds off my phone, between two things, and yet look at the quality of this feed. Love to see Stefan in a good mood. He doesn't. Oh, it was Ragwords. Thank you, Jason. So I don't think uh, she's found that yet. And Pinta, I'm now remembering it was. Uh, Come up. So I had seen Paint. I don't think Stefan even saw Paint. That's why he chickened out on Pinta, and he burned his S. So it's this that's in the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so Josh is going to help me so I can see the top right. I am not the best with technology, perhaps, unlike Josh of Stage 10. That's perfect. Of Stage 10 Productions. Gives a little laugh. To him, it's not perfect because he's such a perfectionist, gets things done, but he also knows how to make things happen as he hurries back to the board to watch over this key round 4 matchup. So even though Chloe at 1 and 2 is not going to really have a chance to probably win this event, unless she wins her last 2 and Josh loses his last 2, I guess it's still possible. So let's not count her out. But Josh is looking to go 5-0 for sure, and not just to win the money. The late bird probably doesn't have too big of a prize, but he is sitting on a rating peak. I believe it's 2066 after the early bird. So I was speaking about people hitting 2100, 2000, looking for 1900, but Josh hit what we'll call a mid peak, 2050. That's one that not many players have hit. I've never hit that. Um, I know his friend Jackson broke 2100. We've seen other Canadians break the 2050 mark, like Robin Pollock Daniel. Will Josh be able to do it? I think he's going to play Fizz here on the opening rack if he's going first, but let's see. Oh, I think Chloe drew first, so excuse me. Um, so she has a less enticing rack, the R being her best tile and one of the A's. Some of the other stuff is what you really wouldn't want to look at. And oh my goodness, folks, look at this surprise. I believe I have a co-commentator. Joey, are you with us?
I think I am. Is it working?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. Um, this is certainly an exciting matchup, isn't it? What would you do here on Chloe's opening rack?
Not looking great. Not looking
Yeah,
terrible. I guess she has Agyria, Agyiria,
yeah.
but Yuga is probably about the same equity.
I think I
Uh,
like Yuga better here. If you play Agiria and you try and get that G on the double letter score, the A is going to be hanging next to the scoring squares, the I is going to be hanging next to the scoring squares, and you're going to be holding a U. So even though Yuga scores less, I think that's the play I'd definitely be looking to make.
yeah, I agree. I like playing shorter. This doesn't score enough to justify all of
Right.
those things, all the floaters, and leaving a
Exactly.
U.
Exactly. And I think Josh plays more openly than Chloe, if I had to comment in that regard. So I could see Chloe wanting to play a bit shorter. Josh really loves those open boards, especially as his word knowledge has gotten so much stronger in the last little bit. But what is she going to play here? That's not a word.
Whoops,
Oh no,
that's
that's not
coming
a
off.
yeah. That's not a V, Chloe. That is a Y. It could be a fruit, but that's not going to stay for a second. Uh, I made I made a bad phony in this tournament, and Josh made a comment like, "It's normally Chloe who confuses the words that look similar." So I think she was probably just thinking of something else. But yeah, this one I wouldn't have even held it. This would have just been a snap challenge, and as it was by Josh. So perhaps Chloe was a bit on tilt. I don't know if you heard Joey, but we just had Stefan in the on the stream, and he had just beat Chloe, and I think she's a bit upset because she was really trying to get to that 1900 here.
Yeah, yeah, I heard about that. I don't know if the tilt could induce the phony. I mean, for
Right.
her to play that, she must have.
Yeah.
It must be like a product or a Collins word or something where she's
Or
seen
like
it.
a Spanish word, or yeah. Yeah, that's not normally how tilt gets you, but like you can sit at the table and all of a sudden forget what words are. for lack of a better way to put it. Like everything starts to, you just are kicking yourself a bit. But now she has Yuga set up and or Ghazi, that's way better. Goes through the Z, doubles the Y, so she's bouncing back with a nice play. Like to see that.
Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and she didn't waste much time, which is smart. If you have a straightforward play, good idea to get it down fast. You might need that time later in the game. So we're going to go over to Josh's rack as we see
Looks
quickly
like
that,
he has Varna.
yeah, he has Varna. It'll play above Ghazi. He's not going to waste more time. Or Vanda. Let's double the D, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
They're
that's better. Um, so again, it can seem obvious, but you want to take the extra second or two to make sure you're finding the best play. And Josh clearly, I think, found it here, as Chloe is looking at a very natural rack of many 7-letter words. I think in the chat you could find a couple of them. They're very common. Diptera might be one that's a bit less common. Do any of them fit?
She can play privated. I think that's good.
Okay. Yeah, that would work. Is there anything through the end? Dipteran, I believe. So that would
Yeah.
probably be better to double the play. And I'm very confident she'll find this one. I think where she's really strong is the high probability bingos. She nails those ones.
Right.
And it's already being set up. Again, I don't think we're going to see much time being wasted here. The last game we saw players playing a bit more slowly. This time, it feels like I'm watching one of your games. The plays are coming down at lightning pace.
That was what I was thinking earlier too. I just thought it would be too cheap for me to say that.
Yeah, no, anything's welcome here on Let's Play Scrabble.com. And Chloe gets the first bingo down, and Josh draws some tiles that work pretty nicely together. The J and those B's will go nicely through that I. That's my first thought. A weird word where Jib takes 2 B's, but perhaps there's something even better.
Yeah, I don't see any double doubles or
There's
anything
Jotter
fancy
through
like
the
that.
T, right? So you could play Jotter through the T, leaving BB.
Right.
So the J doubles there. I think I would play Jib. TORE is pretty strong. It leaves over possibilities, right? Through the V, although those over plays might end one square before the triple word score, which could be dangerous. But BB has some synergy, but it's not really what you want. So we'll see which direction he goes. I'm sure he'll see both these plays. At the
So I
top
know
level,
that Jobby is good,
right?
JOBBIE, but
Yeah.
is Jobber?
Jobber, like someone who
I don't think
jobs.
so. I don't think so.
I don't remember it. It could be, though. I couldn't say for sure. If that plays, it could play under Ghazi. But I think we're more likely to see Jotter or Jib. Sometimes when your opponent's just phonied, you can try and be a bit more aggressive with words, knowing that they might be scared to lose another turn on a challenge. But even if she sees it, Jobber could open up double doubles beneath it. So if he sees it, so I think we're going to see Jotter or Jib, and I think they both have their merits.
Yeah, I was just speculating because it would be nice to take out that triple letter with the A and
Yeah,
Ghazi.
yeah,
But yeah, as you
you
said,
want
obviously it opens up some easy overlaps on the double
right.
double, and it would put the J in a spot where it's
Yeah,
not that hard to use, making a 6.
yeah, and if you make a 6 there, it's probably going to score maybe about 45 points without even really trying. So you do want to worry about the X bomb, but we also want to worry about the double double potential bomb. We like to call big scoring plays bombs in Scrabble, a bit aggressive perhaps, but here is Jib coming down. I like it. The lead is so balanced, and the P, the V, the T, beneath the Y and Ghazi, there's the H. There's lots of places those 4 tiles can go. Chloe's tiles aren't as nice individually, but through that T, uh, she might find something. Kith, uh,
Yeah, Kith for 32 is
yeah,
possibly the best play, but I'm
it
not
looks
so sure.
standard. Yeah, Haiku could come down through the A of Vanda. Um, like
Yeah. Yeah, I guess
there's
that's
no
27.
Yeah,
So
that's actually pretty reasonable. It does take away a lot of the bad tiles, but it leaves 2 ends. She's gonna play Unthink.
See, I thought that, but I wasn't
Yeah.
100% it was good.
Yeah. I had the same thought. I almost brought it up. And,
I'm
one of
not
the
so
risks,
sure.
yeah, one of the risks there also, of course, is that she doesn't have the S. But she did play it. It is good. Uh, it'll be interesting to know if Josh knows it's good. Did he perhaps challenge this, hold this? She doesn't draw new tiles. I think Joey just disconnected. He's come back. Welcome again, Joey. Unthink is good. It appears that Josh has at least held the play, possibly challenged, waiting on word from our director. Steve had also seen Unthink, so nice find by Steve. Joey and I both saw it, and yet we're wondering. Clear the play's been held, not challenged, because Chloe
You can
has
hear
put
me
her
again?
Yep, we can hear you. The play's been held, not challenged. Play is valid, but it's now been accepted because she's putting her tiles on her rack. And look at those beautiful tiles. The Q, U, E, I, N, they all go together so nicely. But we can't
The
see Josh's
mystery is Josh's last
leftmost
tile.
tile. Yeah. So if Josh Greenway is listening to us, perhaps he can get uh, Josh Sokol to slide the tiles a bit to the right, just a nudge. Because that'll make a big difference. Does he have something like Realtor, or does he have an unwieldy uh, Q, for example?
I think he has an A. There it is. Yeah.
Of course, he doesn't have a Q because it's on Chloe's rack. So he does have Realtor, which was what I had mentioned. But does he have a spot to play it?
Let's see. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Any eights through the
No.
PH? No. Retailer through the I obviously doesn't fit.
Wait, Retailer? Oh,
Yeah, that's
Retailer.
good.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course it's good. I was, yeah. I guess I
And this
pronounced it
is
in
this
my
this
head.
goes without saying as
Yeah.
evidence here, but you know, when I study for a month straight or something, like there's a pretty large difference between the way I am right now, where I haven't studied in a while, as far as
Oh, of
anything
course, of
beyond
course.
just Aerolith daily quizzes.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about word knowledge, from my perspective, is that I can relatively easily just
Oh, Unthink did
fix it
get
if I
challenged.
just
Oh, so that's a
need to.
big swing for Chloe. As Josh tries to hit a new rating peak, he loses the challenge on Unthink. So you and I were unsure. I'm not sure if I would have challenged, but with that S hook there, it's really important to know if it's good. And now she's setting up Quincy. Does that play? Yeah, with the PI and HE. So, whew, this is going to be a huge swing.
I think it's just good with the Z and the S. You have to be Quincy's and Quinzied,
Okay, so you
but
can't spell it this
that's
way.
just my opinion. But I
Can you?
obviously, like I was just saying, I don't really know anything anymore. I have to review.
I saw it on her rack. It is not good. You're right on that one. So yeah, it could be Quinzied. It could be Quinzies.
Yeah,
These,
those are definitely good.
yeah, of course. The IE versus Y spellings are always so tough to remember. Some players have them down pat. I apparently do not. It's good with the Y at the end. It's not good this way. But Josh did just lose a challenge. Will he have the guts to challenge Chloe twice in a row? I like the aggression, if nothing else, from Chloe. Put Josh on the spot here.
I was pretty certain he would snap challenge, but I've been
Right.
proven wrong, I guess. But
No,
I
Josh.
think he is going to be able to come up with a challenge.
I think he will too. I think he'll really need this challenge. His tiles don't work well after Quincy comes onto the board, so he's gonna probably challenge. He's definitely looks like he's held again. I like the comments from Josh Greenway in the chat. After the first play, he had one hand on his head. Now he has two hands on his head. So he's, if nothing else, she's managed to get into that tall head of his. Yeah, Josh was maybe looking for a floater. Like he'll definitely before challenging see if he has a bingo that he could play. Um, Chloe's drawn a U, which would let her play through the Q for like aqua or something. So if he doesn't manage to get this talent, this play off the board, he's going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, quite the spot.
Right. Again, neither Joey or I are using computer programs as we're commentating, so we are making some mistakes. Even though I just played a tournament, I'm feeling. Oh, and he's challenged again. Wow. So Josh is,
So that's the third challenge already.
yeah. So Josh is going to win this one, a key challenge, getting this off the board. I think situationally he had to. Chloe's going to show her tiles, nothing special if she can't play through the queue. And Josh is going to have another shot with this realtor rack.
And I will say that a lot of these issues that you're seeing with folks making up words, me included,
Yeah.
everyone else included, like it has a lot to do with when you're trying to get solutions on Aerolith or Ziziva. If you type in something wrong, if you
Right.
type it in, it's like connected through your fingers to your bloodstream to your brain. Like it'll make it into your brain somehow, some way, and then it'll screw you up. Like it's just absolutely what happens. So you have to be
Yep.
like really, really deliberate when you study to not do that
Right.
because it will happen.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. A lot of people will just try anything, and then you've been practicing it, you've been seeing it on the screen, and you really need to have the negative connotation with a phony word to know that it's not good. That was a tough challenge by Josh because knowing which words can be spelt with just a Y as a singular, which ones can be spelt with an IE, is very difficult. And I'm not sure if he was 100%. He took a bit of time. Apparently, he had both hands on his head, but he pulled it off. And this is going to give him a nice shot here in the game. He's down 25, but it's his turn. Probably play off a couple tiles and try and bingo next turn. So I think he's looking okay. And the other thing is now, of course, he knows Chloe's rack, so he can't just make a quick decision here. He has to think what she could possibly do. He knows she has the S for unthink. He knows she has the QUINE sort of nicely balanced rack. Is there anywhere to play sequin, for example? So I think he's going to take a long time on this turn.
Yeah, she can't use the unthink spot. So
No.
her best options are peak for 36.
Right.
Or yeah, that's really her definitely best play, I think.
I think so too. So he's gonna jib to jibba. That makes a ton of sense. He can leave peak knowing that it can also help him. He has the T that he could hook it with, right?
Right.
And leaving 4 bingo tiles. So that's looking good to me. That's an easy hook to overlook. Josh is so strong these days with his hook. So that looks nice to me.
For sure. That's one of the hooks that don't jump out immediately unless you really are on top of that stuff because it hasn't been valid for that long. So me included, I didn't even think of that just now.
Right. I also had overlooked it. I'm not off to a great word knowledge start, but our players have had some success and some struggles. That jibba, though, we know it takes the D front hook, as many J words do, and I also like the H at the end and an S. So we could see that word being extended more. Peak comes down quickly. Josh wanted an A for cottager, but instead he gets a U and E floater. So I think he'll probably hook peak to piquette and form a word like that. I'm looking over at Chloe's rack, so she's drawn a second S, and that W might be a bit tricky, but she's looking pretty balanced. Whereas,
Yeah, it looks like she'll be able to play wins and unthinks.
right, and that's going to score nicely. And Josh knows she has the S, so he wants to take out that spot. He'd love to play maybe even something just basic from the L, but I don't think it's going to score or not. He's going to have to use the Piquet spot, and he'll play Grot, which makes sense.
Yeah, that was a nightmare draw for Josh.
Yeah.
Weave and draws CGT. So now
Right.
he's really needing to draw something good this turn, aka
Yeah.
the blank.
But if she plays wins, he'll have that double lane through the U to play with. So, he has potential. As Chloe's setting up, what is she setting up here? No, she's just shuffling. Josh almost draws nicely and then doubles the O and the E. So that could be difficult. He has out to start words, but too many vowels to finish them.
Right. So assuming that Chloe ends up playing wins,
right.
Josh is going to have another marginal spot. Eco Tour does not make the double, so that doesn't work.
No.
Yeah, so there goes wins.
Right. Nice
So yeah,
play,
this is
but
a crummy rack for Josh
yeah,
because he can't
two,
score and he can only
right,
balance so much.
right. Two
So
bad draws in a row. First he draws CGT, too many consonants. Then he draws OOER, too many vowels. So getting hit by two ends of the sword here. And Chloe draws deafens, and that plays beneath Gauzy. So we could see Chloe really jump out to a lead here. If
So
Noah
yeah,
is in
now
the
it all kind of comes down to is Josh going to block accidentally
right,
by playing over
right.
there?
He could
And
because obviously his tiles can form age,
oh,
AR.
I
Does he?
think Kui is probably the right play, just
Yeah.
down there blocking the bingo.
Also, though, if
But
he's behind here, I don't know if he necessarily wants to play something that forms AE, sort of really shutting that bottom left of the board. He might have to, but
what's
he
the
might.
score?
Yeah, it looks like so. Chloe's up 50. So Kiwi would only score just over about 18, I think. He's going to play it. So yeah, an accidental block, as we'll call it.
No, it's more than 18. It's like 24, 25.
24, excuse me. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Cooer. Okay. There we go. Okay, so he's meeting you in the
He's
middle, leaving things open a
yeah.
little bit.
Except he's going to get hit for 100 now, right? Like Chloe won't waste a second. Even if she didn't think cure was a word, she wouldn't care because it's giving her such a massive play, and she will not waste any time. Her mood was a bit low after losing two games, but she's going to be really happy after that. Josh finally draws nice tiles, but it's a turn too late. Tarot's natural 7 there. Will anything play? Trustier doesn't quite fit.
Can someone tell me if Cooer is definitely good? Obviously,
Yeah,
I know Wooer is good.
Kura is good.
Okay.
Yeah, that one hurts, as Dan writes in the chat.
Just looks a little funny.
Right. Um, Noah just updated the score after the last turn. We're waiting for Chloe's big bingo to come in. She's going to be up a lot, and now she's drawn the blank. So I think Josh's chances here are really starting to fade.
The blank is a good tile.
Yeah, not bad. That X is pretty nice too, especially when you have a lead, right? You can just use it to score, hang on to the blank, really work your rack. Uh, there aren't that many good lanes. Like there's a bingo lane at the top, but it's from a W. That's pretty hard to hit. Although, Josh, he's perhaps somewhat close to hitting words there. Um, Too bad Trustier doesn't quite hit. We'd like to see this game stay in range. As commentators, viewers, we want to go on as long as it can. He might have to play Frit or something at the bottom from the F, opening more lanes, scoring decently, leaving well. But Chloe will just look to block after that.
So things haven't gone Josh's way. It's been a frustrating game, but all in all, if you're looking at an objective analysis point of view, if you're Josh, you're just going to think about, oh, well, I lost the game when I challenged a valid word
Right.
in Unbinks.
Exactly.
Like everything
Yeah.
that happens after that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like that's how it goes in Scrabble. Someone, I think it was Brian Capoletta, had a famous quote: "If you make one suboptimal play, you have no right to complain about anything that happens after, like any bad tiles, anything like that, because you had the chance to make things occur differently."
And I did want to mention earlier that I would have played Kui even though I was down a little bit. If I was down like 100, that's different. But since it was
Right.
still within reach, like
Yeah,
I still kind of like having that control, and leaving RT is nice.
I think I play a bit more like you. Jackson actually compared my playing style to you by saying we both have good instincts in that sense. Josh also has great instincts for the game, but he tends to prefer the open boards, letting things be a bit more volatile. I think it can hurt in situations like this. Obviously, this was worst case scenario, but I'm not even saying he made the wrong play here, but it certainly led to the wrong outcome.
We're only results oriented in Joey Cavill.
Yes, sir. Recency bias. What have you done for me lately? And that's why Devin Booker is the best player in the NBA. Is that correct?
No, it's actually Jimmy Butler and then
That's
Devin
true.
Booker.
Every playoffs, right? People forget how
And
good he is until he lights up the league. Some guys are
Giannis
winners.
Antetokounmpo is like seventh best player now.
Right. So Frit comes down as I expected it might. Chloe's probably going to play XU, right? Just the J's gone, so Jet's not a concern. It takes out those lanes that Josh just opened. The S lane for Piquette's would still be open, and he does leave SER, so it's not completely dead for Josh. Let's see what he draws. The W doesn't help. He was doing so well to that W. Um, Sometimes that seventh tile is like a stab in the heart. Like you've done everything you wanted, you got those tiles, and then that W kills everything.
And I'm feeling Josh's pain right here because unless he has a bingo, I don't see. She just blocked weirdest and
Yeah. Well, and look what she drew. She had one
other
blank,
blank for
and
right.
now she has two. So in the chat, maybe you can find some bingos that will play with those two blanks. Let us see if you're here. We have double the amount of people watching as we did at the start of the stream. It continues to grow. I know when this gets posted on YouTube, once it's not live, the views will keep coming. Lots of videos on this channel get thousands of views. If you're watching it later, you can always post a comment. People will come reply. But right now, it's looking like Chloe's going to bounce back from two losses to get back into better standing.
Another thing I forgot to mention earlier was that the notion that she would be on tilt for not hitting 1900 is maybe not that believable because she plays so much. It's an arbitrary point. Like it'll happen like at one tournament here or there
It,
soon,
it
so it
will,
doesn't
but
really
like
matter.
it doesn't. I agree. She will get there, but I've been speaking to her all weekend and including this morning. I know how badly she wanted it. The other thing is Chloe's not playing as many tournaments as she normally would going forward because she did mention on stream she's going up to Alaska this summer. So she's going to miss the World Cup hosted by Let's Play Scrabble.com in Albany. She's going to miss the National Scrabble Player Championship in Las Vegas. So she will get there. It just, she might not have the opportunity she normally does.
Right. Well, I guess we'll have to plan a tournament in Alaska this summer.
There we go. I'm sure there's people in Alaska who would love it, and I'm sure there's people who aren't in Alaska who would love to go up there. So, and if Chloe can't play in these tournaments, maybe she'll be able to do some commentary. Not just a great player, she's excellent in our shoes as well, as Josh does what he has to do, which is open up a triple lane. Of course, Chloe happens to have both blanks.
It doesn't look like she has a triple, but
no.
I think she'll actually just play a vow because she doesn't need to bingo this turn.
Right. Yeah.
For 65 and leave it. I mean, given the pool, which I can't exactly see, but there's no blanks out because she has both of them, so she's not really worried about a triple. But a vow for 30, leaving both blanks is probably actually better equity than playing something for very small.
Right.
She can play out rivals through the UT, but I don't know if that's really worth it for 72 or whatever.
It scores a lot, but for win percentage, if you're holding both those blanks, if you have a big lead, if you play a vow, you can't lose, right? Whereas if you play out rivals, I guess potentially you could. So I think she'll probably just be safe here and play a vow.
So Josh has Isomers and Monsieur,
right?
I believe. And then, okay, so he'll have missed routes actually through that UT. Funny enough, so both players have an opportunity to have a 9 right here.
I don't think I've ever seen that where both players can play a 9 through the same 2 letters on the board. So UT, which would be the sort of tiles that would form that because of the OUT sort of use of it. And Jason Lee in the chat is mentioning how Outrivals plays with style points. And yeah, sometimes that's like what you want to do. It's like in golf, you just want that one nice shot to make you feel good. When Chloe beat me for second place, she was sort of bagging me. She opened with grocery for 84. There wasn't much I could do. But late in the game, I managed to get a 9 down myself. I think it was promoted through, I forget which letters. And so it makes you feel good even in a losing contest. But
promoted is 8.
What did I play? I already don't remember. I'm not one of these people. Some people can remember their racks and their turns. Jason is in the chat. He was sitting beside me, so maybe he'll remember. He's always good like that, whereas I always manage to forget very quickly. A vow comes down. You are a mind reader, my friend. And let's see. I'm sure Josh finds misroutes. He's one of the best at finding the nines.
So here he also has trisums, but I think misroutes is probably better because it reroutes the board. Sorry, I had to do it.
There
But
you go.
yeah,
No apology needed. Chloe draws vowels. Jason reminds me that it was monitored that I played through an OR. I did have a blank, so I think it's a play that a top player should be expected to find. Nothing to really be too proud of. And it looks like we're getting word ahead about what our game 5 matchup might be. Chloe and Annette, two of our strongest female players, particularly in this field. So Josh finds trisums. It makes sense because it's setting up an S for a bingo lane, but it also maybe makes it a bit easier for Chloe to block. If she plays something down towards the E in trisums, it maybe blocks the PCATs and the S to the right.
Exactly. So that's why I think misroutes probably is the right play, but maybe he missed it. I'm not sure.
But even if he plays misroutes, where's sort of a second lane for him?
Well, it
right?
doesn't matter because he has 2 unseen blanks, so he thinks he's getting a blank, which is unfortunately not happening, but yes.
That's true. Yeah.
And he just draws meltages right out of the bag. So if there's a situation where she somehow doesn't block that S, then I think Josh might be in the lead.
Yep. Or like if she ponies here, which is possible, we've seen it before. So we thought this game was maybe over with her having both blanks, but all of a sudden she's got triplicates or 3 sets of duplicates, I should say. She's got 2 blanks, 2 O's, and 2 I's. So there very well could be a bingo here. It's just sort of hard because she's have so many different letter combinations she'd have to go through.
Yeah, I see bio solid for 8s, and I also see Modioli for 7s, which doesn't play.
Okay.
Or Ulitic, but that doesn't play.
Yeah.
So yeah, this could be a wacky situation. Like if Josh wins this game, I mean, that's why when you see it on Quackle, like the win percentage after each play, like 98.5 is not 100 for a reason.
Right, and
1.5 hits all the time.
And that's assuming that the opponent's playing like perfectly how the computer would play, right? Like Chloe could phony, as I mentioned. So it would actually probably be a bit lower than what Quackle would typically predict. And we know Josh has seen meltages. That's just too easy for a player of his caliber. Chloe might be looking to set up an oil word. No. Lipo something, poloist. Like it's so close to a lot, but the problem is you keep running into double O or double I.
What's the score?
We're gonna 378 to 310 in Chloe's favor from the last update from Noah. So she is up a full bingo. So even if she just blocked with OI at the bottom right, she'd probably be in a decent position. But she wants better than that. If there's a bingo there, she wants to find it. And she just plays OI. Okay. I wonder how much time she had on her clock. If she had more, I would have liked to see her use it. And I'm just looking on my phone now. You found all the potential bingos with those 7s and 8s with those tiles, except for Inositol. So none of them were going to play. So very good job finding 3 of the 4 that quickly. That is not easy when it's OOII. Like
I cheated.
Maybe you did, but those are tough letter patterns. And if you cheated, I applaud you for not finding all 4. It makes it a bit more believable, right?
Nah, that's a lot of blank bingo practice over the years. It's not too hard.
I've seen Crafty J on Aerolith killing those leaderboards, as I've seen Closo, Chloe, and Axer Typo. So Chloe continues to shuffle her blank tiles, and Josh he knew the lane was going to disappear, but he still had some flicker of hope that for some reason she maybe had to exchange or, like I said, played a phony, but not to be. This board, the problem now is where can you really create a second lane, or does he have to find something that might fit through the UT or the XI? Is he that desperate now? I think he is.
Yeah, this is tough. There's really no hope because he doesn't have the blanks, and There's
Right.
like one
And
theoretical
yeah,
bingo lane left.
and she's gonna block Piquette's next turn every time, unless she bingos herself, which is even worse for him. So,
Yeah, and
um,
he's not outrunning even with the bingo. Like if he
no,
has the perfect play and then draw, like she has the Y now, which is actually pretty nice right here.
right.
So, well, I'm not seeing any great Y spots, but it guarantees she'll have points to some degree. I
Yeah,
don't know.
and like, yeah, she'd rather probably not have it so she could bingo easier with Piquette's, but she doesn't need it. She has the lead, right? Like, I don't see her losing this one.
So if
I'm like,
Josh just plays something small somewhere that doesn't interfere, she can just play oily for 18 and
yeah,
NO and SI and just
totally
block
fine.
everything.
Exactly. So that would be beneath it, so you could double the play also. So it also scores pretty nicely. It keeps blank blank E. That's a nice lead. Give her a lot of flexibility. I don't know how many tiles are in the bag. We're starting to get pretty low, so Josh has to consider that too. Like he needs enough tiles to be able to bingo and score and cut into the league. It's starting to get to the point where it's like almost mathematically impossible for his chances here. But if anyone can find a creative way to pull this out, I think it would be Josh. So let's not write him out yet, even if it's looking like that 98.5 is creeping even higher. Um,
Yeah, looking like 100.
yeah, pretty much. It's looking like Jimmy Butler just caught fire and you're the other team, right? If he starts nailing
Something
those
like that.
threes and giving you those like stink eyes, uh, then it can be pretty dangerous. 16 unseen tiles, according to Jason Lee. So there's a bit more time. So many long plays. So even though the board looks like it's sort of been taken over, there are still tiles left to be played, but the lanes are lacking. I guess one lane we didn't consider is eighth through a Q, ending in like QUE, for example. Um,
True.
Josh Josh doesn't really have the tiles to go for that, right? Like he's so far away from any potential bingo in that sense. So he's going to play Meg, score some points, and stay within range. But it's not going to be enough at the moment. So we'll see. Maybe Chloe plays a phony like Soy like, right? Like I don't think she will. Like I think in this situation she'll be very careful not to play any words she's not essentially 100% on. Um, Josh was hoping for those blanks. We know he couldn't find them. He found some duplicates. We've seen a lot of that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I would have also played Meg. I mean, at this point, it's really just
Yeah.
saving spread. You just save spread and just say good game. I mean, the board is the way it is. Like it ain't changing. It ain't changing.
Yeah, like I think the reason he took as long as he did to play it is because he was trying to think if there was anything he could, excuse me, if he could fish forward to hit through those to get nines through either XI or UT, but he probably wasn't seeing anything, and so he might be cutting spread. But like you have to know, Josh is thinking about his rating first and foremost. So if he thought there was any chance he could win, that's what he'd be going for.
Absolutely. I think he took the right amount of time on that turn.
Yeah.
So there should be 6 in the bag from Chloe's standpoint. So I think
Right.
Oily is still safe, doesn't empty the bag, but it doesn't matter because she's not really worried about losing either. Because after Oily, it's only
Yeah.
Q bingos that are 65 points or whatever.
Right.
And maybe not even that. I don't know if there's any combos. Is there a U in the pool? Let's see. U on Piquette on Vinks. XU.
And
No, there's no U's out. There's Ghazi.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one thing she can consider is if, I mean, all the S's are gone too. Yeah. So all the S's are gone. So she has the case blanks to hook Piquette. So she doesn't have to block that lane, right? There's no real reason for her to. She can instead go for a bingo herself. As long as she is sure there's no bingo ending in IS as a 9. That would be her one fear. But if she doesn't empty the bag, even if he were to hit a bingo there, I think she'd still have enough points to win.
For sure.
Right.
So she's in the driver's seat. I guess she can play Oily and SO for 2 less just to make sure it
Right.
knocks out the IS, but
Oh
it's
no, Steve
not a big
Rob
deal.
with an even better suggestion in the chat. You can extend a vow, right? Avowedly. So
Yeah, that works.
Steve proving why he's a top expert player himself with a great suggestion. And one nice thing about that is it scores nicely. It also keeps another blank, and I think it doesn't even empty. So doing so many nice things with that play. Jason actually saw it first, but he was kind enough not to point it out, giving Steve a chance to find it. And love to see that. Great contributions from so many different people. I get a thumbs up from our producer, Josh Greenway. And again, we want to thank Josh and Kieran for running so many tournaments. Kieran's working remotely today, but still involved behind the scenes. We have, I believe, 20 players here for the Late Bird. That is 6 in Division A, 4 in Collins, and that would leave 10 in Division B. I'm going to, as we sit here, try and get an update on the standings in the other divisions so people can see how people are doing in Collins and in B. I believe Matthew O'Connor is still running away with the Collins division, which with this field would perhaps be expected. So let's check that out. Yeah, he's 4-0, so he's already Gibsonized. So congrats to Matthew. He's going to gain some rating if he wins his last game. And either way, he'll be winning money for winning the tournament. In Division B, we have Brian Garnett, undefeated at 4-0. So he was already like the leading rating gain person in all of NASPA, I believe. And now he's up 50 points so far. So if he wins that 5th game, he'll be well into the 1200s for the first time. Love to see it. And Kyle Felahy, another great guy, in second, along with Toronto's own Tracy McQueen, also at 3-1. So Chloe looks like she made a play. OY. So she looked to block, but leave her lane open for the bingo, right? So she sort of did something in the middle, which makes a lot of sense to me. What do you think about that?
Seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think
she just doubled her L, which is unfortunate.
Right.
But if almost any other combo, she probably does bingo with piquettes. I don't see anything yet. Oh, selling. Okay, selling.
Yeah, I was going to say there are definitely at least selling there. So
Two
she'll be
blanks
fine.
makes it a little harder sometimes.
Yeah. No, it takes an extra couple seconds. It didn't take you very long. There's nothing wrong with that. Josh, if this was chess, he would have flicked his king over. Instead, he has to play for the spread points. Stefan can still catch him. He's only a game back. He's at 2-1. Josh is at 3-0, soon to be 3-1. So we'll see if Stefan was able to win against David Spargo, because everyone else is at 1-2. That being Chloe, Agnes, Annette, and David. So we will keep an eye on the standings as the scores get posted. I've seen some of the Division B players walking around. I haven't seen any of these A division players come by this way, so I'm not sure if their games have finished. The scores have not been entered. Yeah, Josh, I imagine, before he had one hand on his head, then two hands. Like at this point, 4 hands. Like there's nothing he can do. Maybe he can find a cool play, either just for fun, for spread, to give us something to talk about.
Scrabble is hard and Scrabble is frustrating.
Scrabble is hard and frustrating. I agree. I had a lot of great moments this weekend. I had some poor ones, and at the end of the day, I did manage to finish pretty well. The 3rd place finish, happy about that. But Josh will play fat, so Chloe's, is she going to bingo out with selling? Will there be a tile on the bag? Does it really matter? It might if Stefan's able to catch up, but Josh has 271 in spread. Stefan was at negative 114. There comes the bingo. Josh has just drawn the tiles. There might be one more in the bag for Chloe. Josh is pretty good like that. I imagine he knew he was leaving one. I don't think he would play Fatso and let her bingo out with 2 blanks unseen. We'll see.
Seems that these guys drained their entire clock, probably.
Yeah. I know with some plays that were as obvious in this game as they were, you would have played this a lot faster. Especially
That's not
this.
what I was insinuating.
No, but maybe the last quarter of this game, you would have made the moves a bit quicker once it felt like it was sort of over.
That's true.
But everyone plays it their own way. Spread can definitely make a difference, especially if you're trying to, finagle your way in the standings here at the end. Josh always plays right to the end, so he's different than me in that respect. What is the best play for him here? Unlike in other points in Scrabble, there's clearly that looks like it'll be the best because it scores nicely. He's going to have to eat 10 points that she's going to get because she's going to go out with her E. There's many different spots for it. And yeah, I think she'll plop it down. So I'd love to get an update on the other scores so we know what we're looking at going into our Game 5 matchup. Our original plan was for Chloe and Annette in round 5, but we will wait word on our producer to see if that is the final decision. Chloe will take her time, and I think EN and ET is going to be the best. Scores 8 plus an extra 10. And game, set, match. Chloe bounces back. A big win will help her gain some more rating.
Yay for rating points.
There you go. Well, it's important. If she wants to get to 1900 soon, every rating point she can amass here will make it that much easier in her next contest. So this one ended. I think we might step away for a moment as we get the round 5 pairings. Once again, we want to thank Josh and Kieran here on Let's Play Scrabble.com, and I'm Jared Capel here with Joey Krafchick, and we will be back shortly.
Jared, can you still hear me?
Yeah, we're still on air, actually. Josh Greenwood was not here, so he did not cut away.
So I
yeah.
guess maybe Stefan Fatsis plays Josh for first instead of Annette and Chloe, but what do I know?
Yeah, absolutely. If they are playing for first, which it clearly appears they are, he beat David Spargo, that being Stefan, 454 to 400. So we are going to cut away. Josh Greenway has stepped back, so we will be talking behind the scenes. Once again, we're here on Let's Play Scrabble.com, and we will see you shortly. Okay, folks, we are back, and we have a surprise matchup here. Chloe versus Annette. Josh and Stefan will be playing for the money, but we really wanted to get Annette on stream. She's such a favorite in the online community, brings such a vibrancy to this game. We still want to see Chloe try and get that rating back. We will have updates on the Josh and Stefan game as we can. And I've been told we might have a surprise guest show up into the booth. So stay tuned for a very exciting game and lots to see. Annette's drawing first. You can see her nail polish. Very clearly, it's her. Maybe something like hum here. Joey, are you there?
I'm in there. Let's see. So hum for 16, leaving NERT or thrum
Yeah,
for
Thrum. That's what.
26. So typically
Yeah,
I would make the hum kind of plays
yeah,
because
like
thrum doesn't score that much and you can extend it. I think it's a
right.
verb.
I like it as a verb. Uh,
Yeah,
I would
it's
play
not a
hum
bad
too.
play, but I would
Right.
do the other one.
No, I agree, and I think we maybe have a somewhat similar style. I like to play sort of short there, control the board a bit, and just you're in such a strong position leaving rent going forward, right? Um,
For sure.
but Chloe's drawn into Towered. If she was able to go first, this would be such a powerful rack. Going second here, unfortunately for her, it doesn't look like Towered will fit. Is there something else I'm not seeing?
I don't
Uh,
see anything else.
no.
It looks like she's going to be reduced to playing something like Whoa, because I
Yeah.
don't see any double doubles. Outdrew, I
No.
guess, but probably not.
Uh, yeah. Woe isn't bad. It leaves REDT, which is at least pretty nicely balanced, but you know that she's going to take some time on this turn because she's going to have to look through the T, the H, the R, the U. Uh, they all have some sort of potential to have an 8, so she's going to have to really take her time. I don't see her making a play in the next minute or two, let's say.
Yeah, luckily for Chloe, Annette doesn't have much, so she's not going to lose too much pace, even if she whiffs next turn also.
Well, if Woe comes down, I believe Peony would fit right beneath it, right? And that would score really well because the P and the Y would both
Yeah, I
get
guess so.
triples. So we're trying to play 2 turns ahead here. Looks like she's setting up Woe. A Woed? No, that wouldn't work. So I think we're going to see Woe and then Peony. Let's see how my predictive skills work in this one.
Now we know that Annette is not somebody who alphabetizes her rack. She
No,
just lets it ride.
she does. Yeah, exactly. She doesn't really study the same way other players do. She does do some online studying, but not as much as most. Really, she just plays more games than almost anyone I know. She plays 2 full days a week at club in Vegas, and they play all day. She's always playing games, and then she goes online and plays all night. She is obsessed, and she's going to see this very quickly. No surprise. English isn't her first language. She might even not know that this is a flower, but she knows the word for Scrabble, and she's going to score big with it.
Absolutely. Very nice play right there.
Beautiful. And then Chloe has Cat, which is going to come down. So I think we're going to be able to predict these plays. Sometimes in a high level Scrabble, the plays can seem pretty obvious until you get to a turn where all of a sudden you're not sure which direction someone might go. She does have a U to play through, but I don't see anything that would fit. So I think if not, and even if it did, I think she just has to play Cat here.
Yeah, I think that'll come down pretty quickly. That
Right.
pesky Q always causing problems.
It's pesky, but she's going to score like, over 30. So it's not so pesky for her here. She's going to score more than her average. So she'll be happy this time to draw the Q.
Definitely could be worse.
Right. There was glare. For a second, I thought that I was a blank, but it is an I. It goes nicely with the NG, but it doesn't quite going to form bingos with the BP, which aren't bingo tiles, but she can underlap QAT for a nice score.
And Chloe has picked up the blank with some junk, so she's not bingoing next turn, but unless
Right.
she gets an I floated for dividers, but
Right.
that is a good tile.
You could see Annette playing something like Begin beneath Cat, which could float an E. Would she have a bingo in that
Let's see. Oh yeah, deserved.
Deserved, yeah.
Okay.
So there is possibilities Chloe will get her bingo down. Begin would be nice because it gets rid of the G, but she could play Bryn.
If
She
I'm
might
a
be
net, I might
oh,
just play
wait,
GIP.
yeah,
What do you say?
that's a better leave, right?
They just do
BERN,
classic staircasing.
right? I've seen some epic staircases in this tournament, not necessarily at Division One. She's now looking at Prig. I hope she doesn't think PAG is a word. I really don't think she would think that, but I don't know where she thinks she's setting up these words that she's forming on the left side of an rack.
Yeah, I think she's gonna play GIP here. That would be my guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think GIP or uh, grip. Okay, that's that's fine too. I mean, I'd want to keep the R there and not put the G in space, just because an R is a nice tile. It'll go nicely with the leave. And now that she's floated the G, you could give up some bingos there. But at the same time, she scores 2 more points. It's not necessarily 2 points worse positionally, so I'm totally fine with this play.
Definitely not
Like it's
a
I
problem.
agree. Yeah, I agree. It's a bit worse. I would play Jip, like you probably said, but I don't think this is a problem at all.
There is something to be said about making it difficult for yourself next turn because
Right,
the board is basically already crushed.
right. So at least now, if Chloe plays on one side, Annette should be able to play on the other side. But Annette just drew 4 vowels, so we hate to see that. Why can't the vowels and consonants come out in a more equitable order? Um, but that's Scrabble for you. There's luck involved, and right now the luck's more in Chloe's favor, having drawn that key blank. Well, Annette drew 4 vowels.
This is a kind of crummy rack here. She really doesn't have much. I think
Right,
I might just play DUD for 5 because
right. Because your
you're
bingo
just
percentage
looking
will be
great next
so
turn.
high. Right. Um,
Getting
she
rid
could,
of the S and the E is just not worth it. There's no
right. She
reason to
could
do that.
form Thrum's word, or if she draws an A, she could form words with QIS and Papa, right? And those would score pretty nicely. Um,
Indeed. There is
so we
something to
will.
be said for blocking thrummed later, but
Yeah,
it just
exactly.
this gives that X hook and a lot of obviously
Right,
other tiles too can hook that
right.
E. So it's
And if you
just
get up to the double word score, that could really hurt. Annette doesn't have the tiles for that. Uh, she might play
and a lot of the
binge.
time if she comes back and makes a 5 or 6
Right,
overlapping devs, then Chloe's not going to have a comeback bingo
exactly.
because her S and E are gone.
Right. But, if she floats tiles up higher, there would be stuff to play through. The V stops her from being able to overlap too well. So there is some merit and it scores nicely. So I don't think it's necessarily terrible, but I would have been more fishy with you too. When you have the blank, you want to stay a bit closer to the bingo. So she sort of drew a mid-rack Chloe, right? Like it's balanced, but it's not necessarily initially obvious what her bingos might be. So we'll see if she can find one. But let's stay on Annette's rack. It is her turn. She's got too many vowels. Does she want to exchange? Does she want to try and play through this? What's your first instinct?
Yeah, that was a pretty disgusting draw. I guess
Terrible.
beige for 22 looks pretty good.
All right. Yeah, I said binge, but you don't
Um,
want to waste that N. That's obviously a big improvement on my idea.
yeah,
Um,
and
I,
Collins, I would not do either of these plays because ZE is now good. So
oh,
it's just like, ugh.
yeah, I hate ZE or ZE as I'll call it here in Montreal because it just makes the game like it doesn't allow the better player necessarily to win. When you have these very cheap, sort of easy 60-point scoring plays, it just sort of allows anyone to win. I'd rather see someone win over their own creativity instead of just like a simple little play, but that's a totally different conversation. She's going to play Inia, so she leaves BEE. She gets off 3 of the vowels, still scores, obstructs some of those lanes that she just opened, making one lane that's a bit harder to hit. So I think this is a pretty nice idea here by Annette.
Yeah, I like that. The board is going to be very destroyed if there's an
Right.
overlap there with the ID and all that. But that being said, it's pretty easy to give her points there by
Yeah,
making
to the
that.
left.
And
Right.
if Annette had more of a lead, maybe it makes a little more sense, I guess. But
Right.
maybe she just didn't see beige.
Yeah, she might have just missed it.
If
Maybe
you
she
don't see
does
beige, that's probably the best play.
right, and she does play a bit more defensively than some players, I think. So she maybe she looks at beige and it's opening up more scoring spots and stuff on both sides of the board. She didn't like her tiles too much. This will give stuff back. Chloe, I'm seeing now bird dog would be a fun word. I don't think it fits, but when you have the blank, you got to keep looking because if she doesn't have a blank, she's very the bingo. She's very close. Uh,
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything here that plays that pesky G. But
yeah,
at
there's
least she
already
can play something like Bog that will be,
yeah.
or Gob that will
Gob,
score.
Gob is better, yeah, and she's gonna play it. And like it doesn't telegraph to Annette that she is the blank, which I think works out really well for her because Annette's not going to necessarily look to be blocking here, and then Chloe should have an easier time getting a bingo down on a board that's not necessarily so good for bingos.
Yeah, I was
Um,
thinking earlier, does that play telegraph a blank if you're thinking from an
no,
S? It might, but maybe
I,
not. I
I
don't
think
know.
sometimes it could telegraph that she has one vowel, right? And she has a V. And I think you probably have a second S there a lot. And, this time she had a blank, not an S. But often I think she might be leaving like three consonants, like WLN or something, right? I guess then she'd play Velds, but like, some sort of tiles like that. That would be my first thought. Um,
Yeah, I guess a blank wasn't super likely, but it's easy
No,
when
and
we can
also
see it.
you were saying devs probably wasn't necessarily the right play. So when you're making inferences, sometimes you're making inferences expecting the person made the ideal play, and maybe he or she didn't. So we're making a read into a rack that she probably should have just fished a bit more. Again, I'm saying that like I'm not even sure necessarily we're right, but that is the way both of us would have probably lent.
So
Um,
here, Annette is probably going to play a G and bide. It does lead
right.
back to that lane, but her options aren't great. Oh, okay, she's going to do it there. Sorry, yeah, that makes more sense.
Oh yeah, yeah. That has to
Duh.
be the play. She also saw Jebel as a word. It didn't have a spot, so this is good. She leaves BEL. The board's still not great for bingoing, which works in her favor looking at Chloe's rack. Uh, does Chloe have anything here? The G looks like basically the only real lane.
She can play My God for
Right. Yeah.
26. That
And
could
a
be the best.
super
No, that's
weird
not the best play.
spelling in that word with the AWD sort of ending. Um,
Right. But yeah, she'll probably just end up playing draw on the
Draw.
bottom right.
Yeah, I think draw also. Also, when you have the blank, like that's the time you want to be opening the triple triple lane. Although the W there with leaving MI blank, doesn't really play too often unless maybe a miss word. Um, but I don't think so it's Chloe's turn. I think Chloe would be more likely than Annette to find my God, perhaps. But I think draw just makes a lot of sense here, and I
Yeah,
think
no, she's
we'll
gonna play
see.
that.
Yeah. Okay, so Annette draws like, trebles. So if
It won't quite fit.
no, it's one spot short, um, which is unfortunate. But again, we're not sure what she's going to play. If she does play, my God, then trebles fits to the left of it, right? So bingos are possible here.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I think in Chloe's rack, misdraw is the only 7,
Yep.
or
Well, it's the
is
only
that
one
right?
I saw.
Okay.
I haven't looked up if there's others. She set up Ma now. I guess she could play it above G, trying to set up, but then, that would set up a back N. Is there another spot she might play this? Because otherwise, I'm not sure why she would play this over something like draw. Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one either.
yeah, I wouldn't make this Ma play. It just seems too easy to get hit with a big score. And look at, at holding trebles, for example, she would get punished with this. So.
In that case, she would play belters, right?
Right. Yeah, the B would double. Yeah, the B would just hit. So Oh, she plays Ma
Interesting.
there. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't feel like she was playing the other one.
No, I didn't see this Ma spot, which is I knew she couldn't make the other one. It didn't make any sense. This one makes a lot more sense, because she leaves balance. She's really trying not to telegraph this blank. It seems like, um, okay, she drew well, like diverges, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe something to ION, the ON of Gob and Inia. Not sure, but Annette's going to be frustrated that no lane quite open. Yaw takes an L, so it's looking almost like her play fits, but doesn't quite. Um, hmm.
Yeah, I think it's just versioned for the 9.
Okay, yeah.
But
So
yeah,
that's
I don't
best
want to
by
suggest
Jess.
phonies.
Um, through the GI, is there something I didn't give her or something like that? Probably not. Aggrieved almost. So she'll be looking for 9s as well, for style points as much as for being the best play. If Annette doesn't take out that G, we're almost certainly going to see a bingo, but I don't really see how she's going to make a play through that G.
Yeah, this is a annoying rack for sure.
Like, she could play Blessed beneath Ma, right? Forming Ab
Oh,
and
wait a
Y'all.
second. Wait a second. Sorry. Yeah, she has reblessed. Isn't that good?
Oh, Reblessed.
No, wait.
That,
Belters, trebles. No, I'm thinking of unblessed.
right.
Or am I?
Like,
I don't know.
or reflets, for example, or like there's stuff that sounds like that. You made me think for a second, but it didn't look quite right, and now you're confirming it's not. She could, so she has reblets on her rack. I think she's gonna play Reb, just right beneath. She doesn't want to break up the nice tiles to play Blessed. Annette and I played a lot of Hand and Brain this weekend. For people who don't know what that is, one player calls out the first tile that would start the word. So you might call it a R. And then the second player has to play a word that starts with that letter, and you play 2-on-2. And so we were on the same page for a lot of these decisions. So I think I got a really good read on how she likes to play things. And she's the sort of player who really doesn't like to break up bingo prone leaves. So I think she's going to try and keep something like rest on her rack. Or lest, perhaps.
Yeah, here, honestly, I might go with Blitz. It kind of scores a lot.
Yeah. Like that's what I had seen first, that blessed thing. You're breaking up the rack, but RE is great to leave, and you're not really giving much back because it's so sort of contained where you're playing it there. Like, it does open up a bingo lane ending in 7, but it would be a very marginal lane where the bingos wouldn't score much, and it would give you back points underneath as a response. So even though you don't necessarily want to break up the rack, I think sometimes it is the right decision. And even if it's not the way she wants to necessarily play it, I would like to see her make a play like this just because it scores so nicely and still leaves pretty strong.
So you cannot bless again. You can only bless once.
Once, yeah. And uh-oh. No, Chloe will not accept that. Yeah, she had put that on her rack a couple times, and I wish she hadn't, because there is no chance that's still on the board. I don't even think we're going to see a hold. I think that's coming right off. I'd be surprised.
It was a valiant effort.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Annette, if even has time to draw provisional tiles. I think it'll be challenged even quicker than that. The phone's out. This is not lasting. Yeah, that is not a word. So I agree with the effort. If she had thoughts about it, it scores so much, she has to try it. Maybe try and put Chloe on the spot, but it's just too high prob. Chloe, like I said, knows those high prob words down pat. That was never going to fly. So unfortunately for Annette, we're going to see this one come off the board.
So I think she'll just play Diverged with a D as a blank.
Oh, right. I kept saying Diverges, but obviously, because she has the blank, you don't want to put that S there. The D's are more defensive, harder to form words with. Plus, also remember, she now knows Annette's full rack, so she has to go through and see if doubles plus an S or a D in that position can give a bingo. I don't see it in that early position really mattering, or really leading to something this turn. So I think she'll just go with the safer diverge. In the chat, Dad City was saying that he or she would like to keep rest, so maybe play Bell. That was definitely one of the plays that we would have been happy with. The phony, unfortunately, really cost her and is going to break this game open. But Bell or Blitz, those are pretty much the same play, would both have pretty good, pretty equal sort of results, I think. I guess Blitz is a bit better than Blessed, I suggested, just because of where that S versus T would be. If you put the S in the fourth position, you would be able to form words between the E and the S for a lot of points, and you'd be able to go two directions, so M's or anything like that. Yeah, sorry about the noise on the mic. I think that might be Joey's mic. We're gonna get that cleaned up.
Yeah, that's over now. I was trying to get a thing out of a thing.
And the thing is now out of the thing, and we are back to the action. Chloe hasn't played Diverged yet. Maybe she hasn't found it.
Possible.
I think it could be a miss. She's such a strong word finder. I have faith she's going to find it, but it's not a guarantee. As sevens, she would have words like revised or whatever. But now, okay, she's set up her tiles. Dever.
I think she might be thinking of diversion to the ON.
Okay.
Can we get a check on that on the knock? Can someone do that?
Diversion, sort of like a reversion. Diversion. I don't like it. No, there's two in that 9, endorsive and versioned, but there is no
right
diversion. So
I did look at the top 1,009s at one point, but I can't say I'm solid on them, clearly.
Yeah, I think when you're thinking of a word like that, you would think about how diverse isn't a word, right? Like, not that it can't take an ION form without having the shorter form, but I think that's sort of a clue as to why it's less likely to be valid. So unfortunately for Chloe, who's normally so strong and pretty consistent, seems to be struggling with bingo through the G here that's well within her range. But that's okay. She still has time. She's gone back into the alphagram mode. Maybe she wants to really mentally picture that G between the E and the I, right? And if she does that, she'll see it as a natural 7, and then she could just, extend that thought into some form of diverge. But if she doesn't see it, she'll still be in a decent position. One thing she's also considering, maybe one of her thoughts about not playing diverge is she knows she's giving trebles back, right? I don't know why I didn't think to mention this before. Like diversion, where it would be played, I don't think would give that back because the V would block the overlaps, right? So maybe she has seen diverged, but she's so like, well, I don't want to bingo if I'm just going to give a bingo right back, right? And now it comes down. Sometimes you just have to bingo knowing you're getting bingoed back on, especially because this bingo plays nicely with the V doubling and the D doubling. So she gets both of her high point tiles to really do some work for her.
Right.
So excuse me, Chloe, I apologize for having doubted you. I'm now thinking that she probably saw that all along, and goes to show you that Chloe, as we said, is such a strong word finder and finds her bingo very importantly here. And I think Annette should be able to find trebles. Belters doesn't fit, so we'll need her to find trebles in this case.
I think she can find it.
Oh, and I'm now seeing Jason just realized Diverges gave back trebles. So thank you, Jason. Good comment. I did come up with that before reading your comment. I don't know how early you posted that, but always appreciate people helping us out. We are definitely not perfect. Making mistakes here as we go. There comes trebles. So bingo.
I finally opened up the my laptop and
yeah, I'm going off basically
I need to do that.
major screen here. I had the comments on a different screen, but I've also been checking back to the standings on that second computer that I'm using here. So the second computer was not open to the comment page. I am now back. I did see that earlier comment from Dad City. If anyone else is still in this chat, please send us a comment. Let us know what you think of the stream, the play, anything you want to know. If you're looking to come play any tournaments, we have the big one coming up in Albany in July, the World Cup, and we'd love to see you there.
Also, do we know for a fact that the blank is a D?
We do not. Josh Greenway, if you're listening, we would love to find that out.
Oh, wow, Annette has drawn a pretty nice rack. I don't see. Okay, so she would have Intendor.
Indentor.
No, it's just Indentor, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just Indentor.
I only like Indentor. So with the B, I don't see it. With the extra E, I don't see it. So let's see what they made that blank at the bottom.
It's overwhelmingly likely that it's a D, but I didn't want to straight up assume.
Right. The R isn't good. The S wouldn't make sense. Like, we're going to just go on the assumption it's a D until proven otherwise, or until we get confirmation from our trusty producer. Thank you to Noah for it is a D. Thank you, Josh. Thank you also to Noah for the score updates, with Annette leading by just 1. So that's why Chloe really had to take her time, because the power of trebles bingoing back really undid a lot of the strength of her own bingo. So yeah, we're looking at a rack here with a couple of duplicates. What would be your thought here?
Yeah, I keep looking at the board and I haven't come up with anything great, to be honest.
Right. I haven't either. She's going to want to get rid of a duplicate A and T if she can. The O is always fine to go. Where can those tiles go without breaking up too much would be my question.
A play like Moat, M-O-A-T, is, something, but it doesn't look that inspiring either.
Right, exactly. But
she can play Octant for 22, which doesn't give back that much, but...
A word I was unable to unscramble with a blank in the car ride with Morris on the way to the Montreal tournament here. So a bit embarrassed about that one, but happy to share it with you folks here. I hope you know that you can get pretty high in Scrabble and still be making some very basic mistakes. It really allows everybody to feel like they can make it to the top. I like this suggestion from Justin in the chat. The blanks should be with a whiteboard surface, so you can write on top of them, like with a dry erase sort of marker or something. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that would alleviate some of the rare occasions in which someone gets misdesignated and loses a turn.
Right, and I did that
recently.
Not during a tournament, but in a casual game last night. I did form OB by mistake, and that wasn't Collins confusion. I don't play Collins. I just forgot what the blank was, and it was a B. I was not really paying enough attention, being late at night, and yeah, so that would be fun to see it written out like that. I've also heard a suggestion last night of a variant where the blank could score the points that the tile would be worth. So the blank D would be worth 2 points, even though it's a blank. And I want to welcome a very special guest into the booth, none other than former 2100 player and the winner of the last World Cup. We hope to see you at the next one in Albany. It is Jackson Smiley. Say hello, Jackson.
Hey, very much a former 2100 player.
Former, yeah. I started off with a bit of a backhand compliment, but I'm going to follow that up by asking Jackson what he would do in this position. It is Chloe's turn. It is a 1-point game.
Wow. Do we have like a pool?
We don't. Jason Lee's been posting the pools. It's a bit more than a few still. She's going to play cat. Joey had maybe suggested moat.
I was looking at attic maybe through the T. If it's just a 1-point difference, there's no reason to go
attic.
A-T-T-I-C.
There's no I.
Oh, she doesn't have an I. I'm blind.
Okay, well, that's why he's the former 2100, folks.
I'm blind myself.
That's okay. There's a bit of glare on the screen. It's better than it was. Jax is here for the better portion of this stream. I hope you had a nice day at work, Jackson. And while you're in the booth, we're going to continue to put you on the spot. Annette also has a difficult rack where she's close but not quite there.
I mean, she can do something like Mano, just be really aggressive.
Yeah.
Her lead will work pretty well with the floaters that are open, the T and the O.
Yeah, definitely.
So Mano is a really aggressive option. It's pretty good.
I like it. I like not breaking up the rack too much because she is pretty close.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if there's a way to do something next to trebles that just scores a bit more.
Right.
Rain, R-E-I-N would work.
Yeah, that would be a nice overlap.
I've got to say, these kind of positions with all one pointers and no bingo, where you're trying to like make a tactical play, these are like my least favorite positions.
It is tough. There is 1 2-point tile, so it makes it a bit easier because you can score a touch. You don't really want to play long something like Dinero on the left of DE. It would just give back way too much to the bottom left. Jackson was suggesting, I don't know if you can hear, Joey, the Mano idea, which so far looks like... I
can hear.
Yeah, okay, good. So far looks like the best idea that I've seen. Rain, like he said, also makes sense. I'm not really seeing much else.
Yeah, Mano is good enough for me.
Yeah, good enough for you. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for all of us.
Hi, Jackson.
And
so he can't hear me though, right?
Yeah, he can't hear you. So if you say anything inappropriate, I'll just translate it a lot smoother.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, she wants a U for unironed. Like she's so close to so much. If the T was over, like we said, it could be indentor.
I think there's no reason to be too aggressive here.
No.
She doesn't need to take crazy risks. Like you could obviously fork the board through the T or something.
Right.
I just don't see why to do that.
I wouldn't do it either.
Denton would do that, but there's no point.
No, because what you're giving up above to the right after Denton is just too easy. A lot of the big tiles have sort of gone, but the X and the Z are still unseen. There's still a blank out there. I'm counting only 2 S's played. So Chloe's rack would be a lot better than it actually is. So I'd like to see her because I see the NO going to the left. Look at that. Such a strong player. I think Mano's coming down.
Yeah. I think especially if she doesn't want to get into an endgame position, Mano, you go for the bingo and you just comfortably get it.
Right.
I can see the value there.
And
Rain is a much more kind of grinded out play.
Right. And that's such a good point because as good of a player as Annette is, she's not quite in Chloe's league when it comes to endgame. So I like Jackson's thought process that she should be looking to either win with a bingo or not quite pull it out. And also, it only scores, about 4 or 5 points fewer? So, and look at that draw. That looks like a nice draw. Reedling.
It does draw.
Yeah.
It does draw Reedling.
Anything else? Because I don't think plays in the top left stay open too often, and in fact, Reedling will not.
He's going for a bounce, which looks like a solid play.
Yeah.
That's how many tiles in the bag. I don't know what she's leaving there, but absolutely fine. And I can see Chloe. I don't know how many tiles are left, but she may have commuted that if Annette plays down to the being a bound, that might empty the bag. And so it might make a bound a bit safer than it looks at first, because it could give back a 30-point play.
Right.
Safe for the bag.
Very good analysis. You always want to be counting how many are left in the bag. We were explaining that last night to our newer player, Stefan, who's playing his first tournament and has already managed to win his first game. So he already has an initial rating more than the expected of 500 for a new player. And we see Brian Garnett with a huge rating gain in Division B. So Chloe did draw a couple eyes. Annette has this rack that doesn't quite fit. I hope she won't try a phony through the O. We already saw one phony, and Reblets, Reblets.
Type that in many a time.
Jackson, we just want you to stand a bit closer to the mic.
I've typed in Reblets instead of Belter's trebles a number of times.
Right.
What's interesting here with Annette, if she holds on to the G she has this cool setup that could come in handy of GIS off of the is.
To set up her E.
Right now, there's not
Right.
another E, so she can't do that yet. But this is the kind of thing where maybe if you're thinking of that, you keep your E and your G in case Chloe plays the last E. Suddenly you can play GIS, set up a huge lane.
Okay, so I'm counting, I believe, 9 E's on the board, and so there's probably still 1 E in the bag.
So it might actually come into
I
play.
might have counted
Not
improperly.
counting.
Yeah. So, but it's definitely the sort of thing you want to be considering, how many are in the bag, and those case tiles, as we call them, the last tile in the bag. It gives you a power. It's like when you're playing with some sort of a card game, and a certain card might allow you to do something that other cards can't, right? Like this card allows you to steal something or whatever. So you want to think of individual tiles of having different powers. The blank can sort of undo that because it could replicate a tile, but the GIS setting up, EGIS, is the sort of creative play you might need to steal a game, and the sort of play that only a former 2100 player could come up with.
Yeah, only former, not even
former. Current. No, current players, they would be coming up with something way better than that. The reason I introduced Jackson like that is I was speaking about how, Joey recently went over 2100 and I went over 2000, and that all got started because we were talking about how Chloe was trying so hard to get to 1900 this tournament. It didn't quite happen. We saw Stefan, her father, pull out one on stream over her. So that was a big win for him.
By 6, right?
Yeah, just by 6. He managed to find his win in the end game.
Wow.
Dan Blake had found it in the chat first, and then Stefan found it, and it was just too many points for Chloe to come up with. It was one of those end games where she got stuck with all 1-pointers. He got the FCK. It scored too much. It was too close, and he pulled it out.
So now, from Annette's perspective, she kind of has to go in one of two directions here.
Right.
She can choose to either just try to outscore
or
she
fish.
Can try to bingo in.
Yeah.
That O in mana is going to really come in handy because if she does, her best fish right now is probably fishing the D.
Right.
Because that will hit the I draw, and there's a lot of I's from her perspective still to play.
Right.
That'll hit the I with religion or
Ligron.
And
retiling at the top.
So
right.
Fishing the D could just hit a bunch. But then you might just go full swing the other direction into grind.
Grinds, yeah. So you can either grind it out. Yeah, that fit really well. If she's hoping for an eye, the problem, of course, is that there are 3 of them on Chloe's rack. Yeah. So from her perspective, it looks like there's going to be a lot of eyes in the back. But actually, I think there's only going to be 1 in the bag. So it's still possible, but definitely a bit less likely. But the E would also hit Eloiner. Is it going to hit anything through the T or the R? I don't think so. Yeah.
And
so edging. Okay, ledging. That makes way better than edging. If she played edging, I would have been really upset.
Unless it set up the
L. It could set up the L if that was the only hook in the bag. That's why when we were talking about how certain tiles have certain powers, we don't have the tracking in front of us. Jason has been posting in the chat sometimes. Let's see if he's been updating that. I keep switching tabs. Jason might have stepped away. Justin Tang mentioned that dropping the D could have given something like resoling. That's true. You didn't necessarily have to fish the L. So resoling would have been singular. So tinglers would have also fit. So she could have fished that way as well.
It looks like Chloe's going to be reduced to playing Tiki for 18.
Plays 4 tiles, scores pretty well.
Yeah.
The only worry from my perspective is, she's keeping the eye, and she sees like 4 eyes are still out. And little does she know she's not actually going to draw this onslaught.
Right.
But I think I would have preferred to keep an E there just to kind of balance that.
I agree,
onslaught.
and I don't like playing so long if the pool is not so attractive, right? Mm-hmm. If you're seeing 4 eyes so late in the game, that's when you typically want to play shorter. Joey, I know you can't hear this, Jackson, was mentioning Tiki as a potential for 18. We could share headphones if you want to. Yeah, Jackson doesn't want my ear cooties, and he already knows how Joey thinks. Jason says there's 26 unseen tiles, and ledging is not a word. Wow, we didn't even flinch.
Interesting.
How is ledging? Is ledged a word as an adjective? I would think so.
Because we have gelding and niggled.
Right. So ridging would have been a much better play for a few reasons, although I don't think this was even held. Like, I didn't see any provisionals. Yeah. And look at that tile on Annette's rack. Why is there no letter on it?
Someone at the Toronto club once, it was her first time playing,
Yeah.
she looked at her opponent, she's like, what, is this a joker? What is this?
I tried to use some mind games in a casual game against Morris. You don't want to do these things in tournaments because it's coffee house and it's not really allowed. But he has these tiles where the blank is a Batman symbol, and that's because he played at the Bat tournament in Boston.
Right.
And so I didn't have the blank on my rack, but I thought to say, oh, I think it's so cool how the blanks have the bat on the blank. And he's like laughing that I just made this mistake to show him that I had the blank, but really I was just in his head, and it worked to my favor. I didn't have the blank.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I was just playing mind games. Again, people don't do this in tournaments. It's like against the rules, but in casual games, nice draw by Chloe. Yeah,
awesome.
but does anything fit? I don't think anything fits. So as well as the balance the draw is, it's not quite fitting. So she didn't go with Tiki. She played Kier, more defensive, I think. Joey was suggesting Tiki here, I believe, at the from the tee.
That a massive bingo of airfoil.
Yeah, airfoil.
So I think she made the right call by going that. Again, in a close game like this, especially on a board that's pretty bereft of scoring spots like this, giving something like that back can just be devastating, especially, blank out.
Right. It's not the sort of play I'd want, but, ledging's not a word, but fledging is certainly a word. So Annette can take a lot of points just with something like Fin or Fino. Again, knowing the exact number of tiles would affect my decision making here, but I think Fino is looking like a really good play.
It's hard to imagine that not being the play.
Right.
Here's something that's interesting. What if
unless there's some
Chloe plays Isotine and Legends and forces Annette to have to challenge it? Would
No.
she maybe let it go?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Joey's saying Chloe might try Isotine and Legends. Yeah.
Because geldings is a word.
Right, geldings is a word, and because legends just makes so much sense as a word, right? Like, I'd have a hard time challenging that. It's a legend, ceilings. So we could see a play like that come, but if she plays fledging, like I suggest, and she does have the FI to the side, I don't know why she's not going to play the O as well.
She might play if, setting up the R, which is a pretty cool idea.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, is the R like a case R? Are there G's? The G's are gone. The R's look like they might be gone too. 3, 4, 5. There might be one R.
Gone as well.
The D's are gone and the G's are gone. So there might be one R on C. So she's going to play Phil.
She may have not seen fledging, may not want to be too.
She might not know fledging. Remember, it's not her first language, English, Annette. She's Norwegian.
I don't know what fledging means either, for what it's worth.
Like full-fledged?
Yeah, Jared, Scandinavian people, saying it's their second language isn't really equivalent to like other foreigners.
Of course, Norwegian people speak excellent English. Annette barely has an accent at this point, but she does have certain words that I expect her to know, and she doesn't. Last night in Hand and Brain, Josh was suggesting typified from a Y in the second position to a D, and she was spending too long to find it because she didn't know the word. She knew typical, and she knew that some words take that sort of form. So fledging, typified, sort of maybe a same level of English proficiency. I think she might have played Phil in that spot also because she knows who's the blank, and she could have a lot of power making a bingo.
Chloe's got Isotine set up.
I think it's coming down, and
I wouldn't be surprised.
And if Annette doesn't have a bingo back, she might just positionally have to challenge, except because she has the X and the blank, she might opt not to challenge, knowing she can score at the X and thinking she can bingo on a later turn, but the bingo lanes are going to dry up, so this would be a play she'd really have to challenge.
I'm wondering what her last tile is. She's close to Uxorius on the bottom.
She's not going to know Uxorius, I'm thinking.
She might.
She could.
Chloe is running out of time to play this word, because if
Right.
you're all unsure of legends, you better slap that down.
That's true. I think she's already past sort of the time. But we will see. Maybe Annette will think she was looking for just Biddy, so she's pushing. She doesn't go for the phony. I would have liked to see the aggression, but
She's setting up another
she
phony
sets
S.
up.
No.
No. Yeah, that one takes an
Don't
S.
show Josh. He'll roast me for that.
Josh, how did your last game go? Did you take down
poorly.
Stefan? No.
I need two things to go my way now. I need Chloe to lose by not a million points, and I need Stefan to lose. And Stefan's winning.
Wait, who'd you just play?
I just played Spargo.
So
Yeah.
David Spargo takes down Josh. We will see who wins this tournament. It is close. goodbye to Dave. He is leaving.
Does she have with retina?
We're not sure what her
She had two
style is.
eyes,
Oh,
right?
she has retinas or fainter, but she's going to play Stainer. That makes more sense. She wants to take out the hook she just made. The F will be a lot harder for Annette to hit. Let's see what Annette draws. Ooh, another vowel, 2 more vowels. What's that first tile? Josh Greenway, if you can hear us, can she push her tiles a bit to the right? She could have Friulano if she has an L or an N. Fay Tours. There's a lot that she could have, but we really need to know that last tile. Yeah, it's a bit hard to do commentary with 6 of the 7 tiles. But it's another A. Okay, that's gonna hurt.
That's not what she needs.
She could play AIS though, setting up her R.
She needs something like that for sure.
I would love to see her find that.
If you had a score update, that would be great. She's
Yeah.
probably up around 60 right now.
The last update we have was, I think she'll be up about
49.
345 to 296. So she's up 49.
That's a perfect score for Annette to play something like AIS.
Perfect,
Because if she
yeah.
bingos, it's going to score a lot, making
Yeah.
a raise or from the F, and so she would probably win.
Yeah.
Maybe.
How many are left in the bag again? Right? Like, there's so much to know. The A is a bit off to the side of the rest of her tiles. Do you think that means she's maybe thinking to fish, or am I just
wouldn't be
reading?
surprised.
I think it's a fairly easy idea, but it's also an easy one to overlook. So we had liked Fledging and Finn because it scored so much more, but that F up there is really helping keeping her chances alive, right? Because if it wasn't, then Chloe could probably just block the A's to raise hook and feel pretty comfortable because the O bingos are going to be harder to hit and not score as much.
Exactly.
Um,
I don't know how she'd even deal with that right now.
Yeah, so Joey, I want to bring you back in. If Annette were to make a fish like AIS here, how do you think Chloe would maybe respond? Okay, instead Auk is going to come down on the top left. So it leaves her more balanced, but the problem is it lets Chloe block at the top where the powerful bingos will come.
She actually has a pretty cool word blocking from the F.
Flyfoot?
Philfot.
Okay. I knew it was something like that.
This is her test. She has seen the word.
Okay, and look at that draw from Annette. Ovarial will play at the bottom.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's killer.
Floatier or ovarial. So Annette has bingos in both spots. It's going to be close, folks. We don't know how many are in the bag. The word you wanted, I thought Chloe was setting it up, and she sees ovarial. I think, yeah. I think floatier should be an even easier find.
I'm sure. Maybe she expects Chloe to block the F.
I think Chloe challenged Floatier under once, or was it you?
I've challenged that before.
You challenged it.
I thankfully didn't play Gloatier against Chloe. I saw it. I knew it wasn't good, and I knew that it was going to come off, which she confirmed after the game. Chloe can score a lot with fly under a G. I don't know, but that's not going to, if it were to empty the bag or something, for example, it wouldn't be enough. Let's see what she does here. We really need to know how many are in the bag. If Jason Lee is still there, he's been giving us these very helpful updates.
Because the problem with Philfot is that Philfot could maybe lose to a bingo downstairs.
Okay, so I like how he calls it downstairs. That's how I'm going to start referring to the bottom of the board. She plays Felty. I think that probably means that there were maybe 5 in the bag by her playing 4 and blocking.
That would make sense.
Let's see.
She has the H and the S and the Z.
Is she not getting another tile? Because if she emptied, it's game, set, match. Look how many points she's holding. I think Annette might have just won this game. So should Chloe, if there was only 3 in the bag, maybe she should have played off 2.
Just try to outrun.
Yeah, and even if you get hit with a bingo, like just play something like next to Stainer, score some points. She's going to take the free challenge, but that means it was over. And that's going to steal this. Let's go over to the standings. Let's see.
So Stefan was winning, and I saw he drew a blank. But
Okay, so Josh is telling us Stefan was ahead of Agnes. He drew a blank. If he wins this game, he's winning the tournament. If not, Annette isn't going to get enough spread to catch up to Josh. So it would, I think Josh will win unless Agnes manages to come back against Stefan. So we're going to keep an eye on that one, folks. We won't leave until we find out the results of this tournament. Josh is going to try and find out. We want to get Annette on stream. Absolutely, Josh Greenway. Please send her over here anytime you can. I'm going to try and get updates on the other divisions. Matthew O'Connor, to no one's surprise, went 5-0. He's winning some money. He gained 5 rating points. In the B division, let's see what's going on here. Brian Garnett is still at 4-0. He has to play Kyle. One of them is going to walk away with the money. Brian has a huge spread advantage, so he's more likely than not to win this division, and we really want to see him go 5-0 because that'll give him a huge rating gain. He's already gained 49. I think with the win, he'll go over 1250, which would be a huge accomplishment. We see Ben Prees in the money, so that's another big result for him, and only, I think, his 3rd tournament. He keeps cashing. He's going to be richer. Like, he's going to, big money. Stefan won, so congrats to Mr. Fatsis.
And then if you guys want to talk more standings, that's fine.
No problem. Okay, so we are kicking out the 2 taller players in Jackson and Josh and bringing in my good friend, Annette Oberstad. Congrats.
Thank you.
So that was a
How
big
many
win.
bingos did I miss?
No, I don't think you missed any.
Really? Wow.
Did you see fledging as a hook to ledging?
I did, but I wanted to open another lane.
Right,
So
and
I figured F was a good time to open
so
letters.
exactly, it did go really well with your letters. I'm going to pull a board onto the other screen so we can still talk about the games.
Sure.
Well, so it's over here.
Yeah, I see.
It went well with your letters. Did you consider on AUK playing AIS to set up your case R?
No, I did not. I did not realize that. That would have been great. If I had
Right.
more time, I would have looked for a setup.
Yeah.
I looked kind of briefly, but I didn't see that.
Yeah, so that would have been a creative idea we were thinking, because one nice thing about that is that the bingos were going to score a lot, either from
For
the
sure,
F
but it
or
is
through that.
possible to block that, though, and the U is not a great letter to go.
Exactly,
down
yeah.
there.
We love that you got rid of the U.
Yeah.
OF would have maybe been a better fish for Chloe instead of playing Felty. She decided that the O was your most dangerous one and left the top, and then she drew the ZC on the
Right.
rack and got killed.
I was surprised she blocked the O and not the F, because F scores so many points and it's unlikely he would start a bingo with an O.
I think either bingo you were likely to win because she was holding so many points.
Depends if she empties the bag or not. If she blocks the F without emptying the bag, then maybe she could outrun.
Yeah, that is possible.
I don't know.
So you didn't quite win this division. You did go 3-2 and just missed the money because Josh had the better spread.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
I know it's not too much money in these late birds.
I don't care about the money.
You gained 17 rating points. I think that's the big accomplishment.
That's awesome.
And you get to show off your really cool colored leopard print shirt.
Ah.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
And what do you think about Stefan winning this very tough division?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won our first game on a recount.
Right. Yeah.
Which was interesting ending to that game.
Yeah, and I won a game on a recount against the reigning North American Championship, Michael Fagan.
Yeah, you said that.
So recounts, count your tiles properly, people. We don't want it to come
That was
down
my
to a
own fault, though,
recount.
because I didn't count his play properly, and I just
And
trusted him.
yeah,
Which
and
I do that too much because
Michael
I'm too
has
slow at counting.
phenomenal
That's what I
math, and for some reason he didn't count my play properly. I don't have phenomenal math. I messed up.
Yeah.
In this one, we saw Stefan in game 2. He didn't play all that well. He missed foliages, a very makeable bingo. And then after that, things started to collapse, and we were feeling kind of bad because we hate to see people play poorly on stream. Stefan's so much better than that. And then he shows how much better he is by taking out in a row David and Agnes and the great Josh Sokol.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy for him. He had a pretty rough tournament before that.
Yeah.
He had a rough day 1 in the main, so.
So congrats to Stefan. Josh is also going to finish in the money here. I'm just going to see if we have our B division. Oh, and we do. And it's Annette's very favorite friend, Brian Garnett. I was saying how I thought he'd hit 1250. He's going to finish at 1248. He's the NASPA rating leader. Ben Prees and Kyle also finishing in the money. And in Collins, we told you Matthew O'Connor took it home. I really want to thank Joey Krafchick for coming into the booth with us. I want to congratulate Annette, Stefan, and all the good players, Brian. And of course, thank you to Josh and Kieran for running this stream. We hope to see you at future events. The Albany World Cup is the big one here on Let's Play Scrabble.com. I'm Jared Capel. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
and cut. Nope, didn't work. I think Josh Greenway stepped away, so instead we're going to let Josh Sokol do a second goodbye. Or why don't we promote Josh's wonderful content on twitch.tv/Axertypo, AXCERTYPO. It's an anagram of extra copy. You can never forget it. Josh never knew that. It's his own username. He's given me his famous side eye, which I get about 4 times a minute when I'm in his presence. So sarcasm doesn't always fly, but look at those guns, people. He's
Come
like,
play on Woogles tonight at 8 p.m.
That's true. I will be
What are you
on.
doing to tournament
I will be on the
tonight?
401. I hope other people will be playing 6 or 7 minute games. Is it? You play 6 games every Monday night. Annette's probably going to be playing it over the board because she might go online. I think Brian might be doing whatever Annette's doing,
No, but
and
you guys can play a game, a live game, and then I'll move into the camera. You guys can play live games, and then I'll enter them in the tournament.
that works too. There's so many different
Whatever you wanna
options. We love Woogles. That's a big thanks to the whole team there,
6-minute game.
including Cesar, who also we thank for airlift. Here's
Our
Brian.
winner is here.
We have to bring
Let's
our
say hi to
B
our
division winner onto the stream. Brian, your new rating of 1248, the NASPA rating
Yeah.
gain
Good job.
champion.
That's such a mathematical number too. 1, 2, 4.
Brian, we got to ask you, how did your games go today? They weren't on stream. We didn't get to see them.
I mean, I overcame the difficulty of getting 8 blanks in 5 games. Sorry, 8 out of 10 blanks, and managed to win all the games.
You know what? He's a champion, and he's modest, and he's sarcastic, and he has a killer mustache. If that is not the whatever 4 is to a trifecta, the quadfecta, that's not a word. I challenge. I hit the clock. I stop it. I get 0 points. Josh is doing another stink eye. I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, you didn't challenge shit this tournament.
I didn't challenge anything. I let him play Spriting. Sprite is a drink. Sprite is a word, but it is not a verb.
Placement.
I have been drinking Coke with coffee in it. It is delicious. They all thought it would be terrible, and I want to go buy another. I'm addicted. Please sponsor us. We need your money.
What else can we say?
Josh Greenway is disassembling the set we worked so hard to assemble during the first game while the players were competing, while Brian was kicking ass against his opponents, while Josh was getting off to a hot start, while Annette was winning on a recount against the otherwise undefeated Stefan Fatsis.
Losing on the recount.
Losing on the recount.
I was like, yeah, another recount.
Who needs to be perfect as a commentator? I've been making mistakes all day. Sorry, Ben. We thought Ben was in the money. He is no longer in the money. Tracy McQueen jumping out of nowhere for a 4-1 record, representing Toronto. Love to see it. Some final thoughts, people. What do we have to say?
This was fun.
This was fun.
Great commentary. I imagine I couldn't listen, but it must have been.
I'm sure it was great.
Come to my tournament on June the 4th, Montreal pub tournament. Everybody needs to come.
Come to the National Scrabble Player Championship in Las Vegas, home of Annette Oberstad in July. Come to the Word Cup in Albany. And then after that, we'll be seeing you in the fall in Lake George. You can do some hiking, check out the leaves, do a cold, not quite polar bear dip into the water.
What leaves should we check out? The vowel leaves? The consonant leaves?
Good one.
Yeah, we're not going to react to that pun. I take care of the bad puns around here, you know. But yeah, do we want to say hi to Ben Breeze? Because we've spoke about him on previous streams.
Canadian Jesus is here.
Canadian Jesus.
Jesus got a haircut.
He cut his hair. He'll need to update the cross tables picture or just grow his hair back out. Either one works for me.
Yeah, well, probably growing my hair out is likely to happen more quickly.
And not so quickly at that. And he's got the sunglasses on indoors because he's just that cool. We know it from the poker tables. Annette knows some people like to wear them. My friend Bryn tried to wear them in Scrabble, but people wanted to look at the tiles off of the reflection on his glasses, so I don't think he really stuck with that, but he did have the Unabomber look going with the hood and the glasses. It was definitely nice. But I think we're winding down here. Josh, I don't think is back to properly send us out, but I'm running out of shit to talk about, and I do have to drive back to Toronto. So I'm going to let Mr. Sokol go run and turn this stream off as I slowly say goodbye to all of our watchers.
Thank you for the commentary.
And thank you for coming all the way to Canada to visit us.
Of course. It's been a pleasure.
I won't hold it against you for not visiting Toronto, even though you really should have. If Bonehead is watching, she apologizes for not visiting.